Live from Trenton, New Jersey, SativaCross.com presents our podcast. We are here every Thursday outside the governor's office because he has failed us as a governor. So far. We're waiting to see if he will actually do the right thing this week and sign the bill.
So we're here for the 20th Thursday podcast this year. Number 20. 13 to go after this. You know, we should probably consider what would we do if the governor showed up today, because he showed up 7 times out of the first 19 podcasts, and we were anywhere from nowhere near ready to kind of ready, and it worked out real good last week. And you know, we always make some headway. Even when he ignored us the first 2 times, we made headway with the fact that he ignored us. But today, if he walks by, what would the sound bite be that we'd like to express? Yes, we'd like him to sign the bill, and I'm sure he's considering it or something is what he would say. So we don't really want to say, please sign the bill. I think everything about what we're doing here today, we have a bill signing table over there.
That's brilliant, Jim. I love it.
With 3 little cones on one side, and it's up against the foot traffic study cones.
You rock.
It says bill signing table, the placard facing the road, and on top it says a 457 S2345.
It's right here. I'm pointing at it right now. You can see it right there.
Well, no, the sign over on the table.
There's a sign, yeah, and there's also, yeah, you can see it. But yeah, I'm pointing. If you look at my finger and look down that way, look down that way, you
I'm
will
not
see.
capable. I can't sort that.
So there you go.
So you know, he gets all that.
Do you care if I break up on your permit here, Jim?
What's that?
Do you care if I break up on your permit?
No, that's great.
Well, I already started, but...
Photo op right there.
It's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Yeah.
I don't know about
We
that.
want something simple like, what are our most basic problems right now? We don't have a seat at the table, but that sounds so formal. We would like to meet with somebody on his staff about this, because we have information that he doesn't regarding studies that have been done. Who do we get that to? And don't sign or don't decide what to do till you see this. Who would have thought we could ask him to not decide what to do till, you know, because if he was going to veto, he'd have to base it on something. And I'm thinking he would try to hide behind the fact that, well, there are now really gold standard studies. I've talked with the head of the New Jersey Psychiatric Association, and I've talked with, you know, that's who he's talking with.
What about the head of the Senile Old Dentist Association?
Oh, Dr. Gerald Cardinale.
Yeah, he
who
runs
was
that
born.
yeah,
Who
yeah.
was born when cannabis was legal.
That's right. He's older than the drug
Before
board.
he's older than Reefer Madness.
Oh my God.
But my point is we don't have anybody to ask these questions to. What we'd like to know, and I'd like to be able to ask a member of his staff, is who are the resources the governor uses as he's deciding what to do? I mean, allegedly now it's been 3 weeks and 4 days since the bill got to his desk. He says he's going to read it and decide what to do. So because it's 658 words, I think he could read it in about 2.5 minutes, really slowly. So what he must be doing is deciding what to do, and we should help him have all the information. So, you know, between now and next Thursday, we could print up many pages of studies that indicate that this would be the best option right now to sign the bill. But, you know, it's just kind of a narrow focus, and he may walk by today. So maybe the question should be, what's up? No, well, the question could simply be, is there a way to have a meeting with somebody on his staff to make sure he has some really important information?
Want to call?
Nah, not really.
Well,
I mean, I just want to have something ready should he show up. All of a sudden, there's the trooper. He's going to be coming. Obviously, we need that remote mic fixed too. That'd be pretty cool.
yeah.
I keep forgetting about that. My bad.
Yeah,
I should
we're
say.
getting there.
But well, because I'll be over there without a mic, so we'd have to be on the same page. So if it was you saying what I would have been saying anyway, like Penn and Teller, I'll be the quiet guy.
I have a long mic cord, so you can go over there. You can reach the table with the mic cord. The white mic has a long cable, so there you go.
Yeah, the way I see that happening is I grab the mic, 2-3 things trail me onto the ground, and
We'll
fall
set
on
that
the
up.
ground.
I'll make sure you're okay.
That kind of guarantees he won't come if we're all ready.
I know, of course.
Yeah, but if nothing else, just having a bill signing table ready, it is a good look, and it gives those 3 little cones something to do.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
It's very obnoxious and sarcastic and
Yeah, it is.
all that.
Well, I mean, I didn't mean it that way. I can see where one would
I
take
think
it
that
that
way.
I
way.
think he's pretty serious about it.
Oh, I Sirius is yeah. Sirius is 22 veterans a day killing himself.
Wait, is that Grizzy
What's up,
or
buddy?
is that
Grizzy?
someone else that looks like
Grizzy.
Grizzy?
Yeah, I'll be back.
Grizzy. Grizzy from New Jersey Weedman's Joint. Are you going down to the joint?
I don't want that
Okay.
Flat Earth Society mother trucker.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
The Earth is
I know that didn't.
The Earth
you
is
didn't say
oval.
what it sounded like.
The Earth is oval. Oval.
He's a part of the Flat Earth Society.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really.
Get on that mic, Cleo. I can't hear you.
Really, really part of the Flat Earth Society. Cannabis, moving
I
on.
mean,
Cannabis.
I've been out in the Midwest. It's pretty flat. I've seen it.
Yeah.
The edge is a closely guarded secret, then, I guess. So,
So this weekend was tough. One of our friends lost a loved one, Joanne Zito,
it's a board member of the coalition.
and she's going through a very rough time right now because
It was sudden, too.
it was very sudden and
Motorcycle accident.
yeah, yep. And he was a very cool dude. He was waiting to get off his probation for a plant. He had a few more months to go, and he was still waiting. So we have to add Jeremy to our list because he was another patient still waiting, a victim of the drug war. He spent 4 years doing what he had to do for his family.
Waving at Assemblyman Reed Gucciora, the man who
Yes.
started all this.
Thank you, Reed.
Without his help, we would not be here today. And he's been a supporter for more years than many people have even been in the legislature. Of course, I could be waving to whoever. If we wanted to look good, I'd be waving at Steve Sweeney in a second. Well, he's knows we're here as well. Maybe we should make more of an effort to see if we can get a couple of words from supporters on the phone, call-in guests, legislators.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. I know who we can help facilitate that, and he's over there right now.
Yeah, let's get him over here.
Well, if he comes on, he won't walk by without having a few words to say if he's coming into the State House here. But
It looks like he was going to get a sandwich.
yeah, well, that could be starting
They
today.
make pretty good sandwiches.
There isn't really anything going on here at the State House today, or anything in session. And his office is on the same street right down to my left.
Now, doesn't the governor sign bills on a Thursday usually?
He can sign bills whenever he wants. As he will point out, Governor Christie will point out, John Corzine signed this bill late at night, right before getting out of office. He complains about that. He should be happy because that was John Corzine insulting everybody when he signed the bill, insulting them by making it the last bill he signed, And he did it with no patients present, and I believe it was around 10 in the evening where at 12 o'clock he was no longer to be governor.
Talk about a
I
wimp.
mean,
coward.
there are patients
Coward.
that waited, and maybe statistically, you would think somebody may well have died while he played that game. So he did that, and he insulted the bill that, as it became law, much as Senator Cody did when it passed.
Who? Senator Dick?
Senator Dick Cody.
Senator Dick.
Cody, and he.
Yeah, I like that guy.
he
I don't know why I don't like that guy. I don't like Senator Dick.
It's getting to be fun to like not liking him, though.
Can we go visit him, please? I'm waiting for you to come up there and visit him with me. He's my guy. I'm his constituent. He has to listen to me.
Yeah, well, theoretically.
On paper.
Yeah, on paper. But, again, a good front door recent request. A week,
Hey, Reed.
A week or so. A week or so to be ignored by Senator Cody, and then all bets should be off at that point.
I want Reed Goscura as governor. No more Senator Cody.
I'll tell you.
We want Governor Goscura.
That could be.
That has a nice ring to it.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Governor Reed.
Well, it's rare to have somebody actually be compassionate about what they do when the people do deserve that compassion.
Well, he saw what your wife went through.
And he is truly.
Come on, man.
One of those. He's, people might say that we gave away a little too much in the beginning and pointed fingers at him. And I told him on that day, I hear people grumbling already, but I understand getting started, and I'm anxious to get started. And all it turns out that indeed we weren't even getting the half loaf. We weren't even getting a quarter loaf. We got like part of a slice. And it looked like somebody took a bite out of it already. I mean, we didn't get half a loaf.
Fell on the floor.
Yeah, so that means the long road is the fix. But this is truly a medical program. That's why we have so few people. We have, 7,000 people registered, maybe 5,000 have accessed medicine. Another, I would assume, somewhere around 5,000 patients have died while we've had the program. If 600, no, maybe 3,000. Doesn't matter, too many are dying where a program isn't serving them in one way or another. We may have oral preparations available in a week, actually in a few days.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that people could go to a dispensary and get something they don't have to inhale.
Which dispensary? All of them? Or maybe one, maybe. Possibly.
Well, it seems to me that edibles for adults is still not law. So here's where I'm a little bit confused about that. I know a lot of adults that are very happy they're going to be able to get this. So did something happen? Did I fall asleep and miss something?
Somebody's sleeping.
We need Ken Walsky. Where is he? Ken.
You know who we need?
Ken, are you listening?
I have someone.
I know sometimes you watch, and I know you listen on the way here. We need your expertise.
I didn't set this up either. I love calling this guy without setting it up, because whenever I ask permission, he's always busy.
Who's this?
When I catch him off guard, he's like, I got a minute for you, Lefty. Sure.
Hello?
Hello, Chris Goldstein. It's Lefty Grimes and Jim Miller. You got a second to talk to us on the air?
Hey. How are you guys?
Good, man. What's going on, buddy?
Caught you.
Hey, not too much. I'm just, give me just a second here. What's going on? What can I help you guys with? It's great to hear your voice, first of all.
Well, we were talking and saying, like, this is where I point to Ken. Where's Ken? Ken's not here today. So Lefty just laughed and pushed a button or two and says, well, I know who we could ask, because we're a little bit confused about the excitement we're hearing about. Which dispensary is it having oral preparations available, Lefty? Which Compassionate Care?
Is it, Compassionate Care has the edibles now? Or
well, no, they were supposed to.
Maybe.
But here's the question,
Maybe.
Chris. Did something happen where this is now legal for adults to have an oral preparation like that when the governor expressly forbid adults having edibles when he okayed the law that allowed it for minors some years ago? And I'm not sure if are adults going to be able to get edibles in New Jersey soon? Do you know?
Well, like similar to Pennsylvania, I think that what states let's sort of take one step back here and say that the original Compassionate Use of Marijuana Act in New Jersey, the interpretation of it was that they could only sell flower.
Correct.
And what has happened in the years, since 2010 to now, in the last 6 years, something pretty profound has happened, which is a massive shift to oil making and shatter making and sort of a huge evolution into infused products. But also something with it in regulated states is rigorous laboratory testing, and we found that it's really important not to have a lot of pesticides on the plants that you do turn into oil, because that kind of stuff can carry over in the process. So, then we have states like New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania, rather, which passed oil-only medical marijuana laws. So in New Jersey, this whole time, folks like you, Lefty, have only been able to get flour. In Pennsylvania and right now in New York, you can only get processed oil. You can't get any flour at all. So in this region, we've got this weird new approach to this. In the meantime, we did pass a provision in New Jersey, as you guys are aware, to allow production of orally ingested oils, not pre-made edibles, but at least to make the oil that parents could take home and then mix into Jell-O or pudding for a preparation, especially for children. We passed that. The dispensaries were, the alternative treatment centers were supposed to have worked out a set of guidelines between the Department of Health, the medicinal marijuana program, and themselves on how to safely produce these oils, which is basically hash oil extract. They've hemmed and hawed over this for like a couple of years now. And along the way is the prospect, well, as you pointed out, Jim, Governor Christie has said he would only allow it for pediatric patients, that adults could not walk into an ATC, even if they're registered, and get this stuff. Which, again, at the time, I remember we were all both confused and pissed off about it. And there was a fair amount of media about it, too. And it doesn't make any sense. But what you see is Governor Christie. This is why Governor Christie and Donald Trump get along together so well. Governor Christie at the time offers this completely absurd concept of adults never having access to this stuff. Building a wall, you know what I mean, between adult marijuana patients and this stuff, that they're going to pay for it. Medical marijuana patients will pay for that wall. This is kind of like
90-inch wall.
Yes. It's just, and it's funny too. I mean, we think, the absurdity of all this. I went to Colorado for a day a couple of months ago just to see what it was like there. After having been on probation, I wasn't able to go. So I finally wanted to go out there for a day, and I went out for a day, and I walked into my first retail cannabis store, and they had like one of those like cheap like room dividers, like you'd put in like a college dorm room, like a little paper mache kind of a thing. Yeah. And they're like, okay, well, you can't go on the other side of this because that's the medical-only side of the store. I'm like, what's the difference? Well, like the amounts that we can sell you, we can sell you plants on the other side if you're a resident, and a couple of different products. I'm like, so there's not that much difference. And he's like, no, not really. I'm like, so that's what we're going through. What we're going through now today, and especially in states like New Jersey. I mean, our alternative treatment center system is not a free market full of evolution and, really great people working to lower prices and make great products for patients. We have a cartel of 5 operating facilities approved by the state who operate very largely in secret. I mean, there's very little transparency to New Jersey's system, even compared to other states, by the way.
That's a big problem.
And that transparency means that we don't know what's, again, you're asking me, Lefty, you're a patient. I mean, for God's sakes, like, you're calling me on the phone to ask me what's going on with the ATC. I have no clue. They should communicate with you.
But we need somebody to help us. Ken's not
program,
here.
Like the medicinal marijuana program and the alternative treatment center, you guys should know first. You should be telling the reporters what's going on at these places. Like, we should be hearing it from you. Like, wow, edibles are for sale. Or, wow, like, you can get a happy ending with your medical marijuana at this alternative treatment center now. Like, that would be great news.
The lack of transparency and the fact that we have no seat at the table, that we actually bring our own table here weekly because we don't have a seat at the table. We do actually, we have a separate table,
Chris.
more by the entrance.
You'll love this, Chris. Listen to this.
Coned off with a sign, placard that says bill signing table, and then on the top a placard that identifies which bill we'd like signed. With a chair, we gave up one chair and a table to that being, because the governor's come by 7 times in the first 19 podcasts, so should he come by today?
Yeah, we'll see him.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, Donald Trump will meet with black and Hispanic activists, but
Well,
Chris
he'll
Christie
meet
won't meet with medical marijuana activists
No.
for the entire time he's been there. I mean, the lack of diplomacy, the absolute callous lack of diplomacy, or I mean, Jim, Lefty, guys. I mean, since 2010, we've been dealing with Chris Christie. In the last 6 years, we have seen.
Oh, Chris, hold on. We have someone here.
Republican and
Chris, hold on.
Democratic
Hold on,
governors
Chris.
all around the country
Chris, hold on.
really work with people.
Hold on. What did you say, sir? Marijuana stunts your growth?
Marijuana is not good for your growth.
It's not good for your growth.
You have to be tall.
Well,
Really?
you're about 5 foot, what, 3?
How much have you smoked, sir?
Hold on, you're about 5'3".
Yeah, you're 5'3". You look pretty puny.
Come stand next to me and see who's.
You look very puny and weak, sir. You need some
Gross
cannabis.
with
Marijuana.
Yeah, you need some marijuana, sir. Sorry, Chris. We got
Okay,
interrupted
It's fine.
by.
We
Are you
have.
telling people that they have to smoke as much marijuana
We
as they
have-
are?
Yeah,
small
Harry
in order to
Anslinger's-
get medical
Harry
benefits?
Anslinger's-
Because that's a proven scientific fact out here.
We have a weekly. We have a weekly, occasionally detractor. He's an elderly gentleman who does a pretty good Harry Anslinger impersonation with his logic.
Was that the dentist?
I don't know. You know,
Might be.
he appears that he may have been born just before Reefer Madness as well.
Well, Chris, I have a question for
So
you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. But,
Sorry, but
you
I
know.
have a question for you. What does the number 100,921 mean to you?
That sounds about the number of marijuana arrests that happened in Pennsylvania in the last 5 years. It's at 118,000 for New Jersey.
What was the number?
In the last 5 years, the state of New Jersey has arrested 118,000 people for possessing marijuana.
And if you
And those numbers have gone up significantly.
Yes.
And 3 years ago, the annual arrests were about 22,000. Now they're 25,000.
Well, I'm a fiscal conservative, and I'm concerned about what that's costing the state.
Well,
he's back.
it's you know, comes down to $1,266 per arrest. So
Oh, Chris
you
is
know,
back.
And that's
yeah. So
He-
people arrest people in New Jersey.
Iwo Jima?
You know-
Hold on, Chris.
Hiroshima?
Hold on, Chris.
Right
Hiroshima.
here, Iwo Jima?
Yes, yes.
Where is it?
Isn't that Japan?
Oh, because we
1,200
smoke.
miles south.
it's in the South Pacific.
South Pacific. Okay.
Well,
What does that matter? Why does that matter?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Would then Mount Suribachi be what you're talking
You
about?
see what marijuana does to
Excuse me, sir. Is that where Mount Suribachi is? Is that not where it is? Oh, you don't know? You don't know.
Do you see what no
do
marijuana does to
ya?
people? This is what no
You
marijuana
don't,
does to
yeah.
people. You act like a jerk.
No, he's not acting. He is a jerk.
He's a jerk.
Yeah, but
You
is
know
he?
what's amazing is
Hiroshima.
Oh my
effect that prohibition has
Sorry.
on people who don't smoke marijuana. You know what I mean? It empowers people to be discriminatory against cannabis consumers and medical marijuana patients. That's actually
Is this-
one of the most disturbing things about prohibition, I find.
Well, it's good though. I mean, and you know, there is a lot of good cheap jokes people can keep making. You know, it's kind of fun. I just wish it'd be something more up to date though. But you know,
Well,
hate to interrupt.
A
you know.
reporter from the Philly Metro called me and he's like, you know, Chris, I'm following up on a story that a couple of cops told me that they feel like marijuana is legalized in Philadelphia, that people are just smoking it everywhere and everything like that.
Well,
And I said, really?
Yeah.
I said that you know, those cops are still arresting 700 people a year. I said legalization is not in Philly yet. You know, a cop can't walk across the street and take my cigarettes away. But if I'm standing there with a bag of pot or a joint, that cop can walk across the street, take my pot away, and arrest me if he feels like it, or give me a ticket. That's not legalization.
No.
In Washington, D.C., a guy was arrested with 2 ounces of marijuana. They took it from the police station, and he went back and got it. That's legalization. You know what I mean? You were saying about the numbers and being a fiscal conservative. Look, Jim, I mean,
I was only kidding about
we're
that.
blowing
part.
through $75, $100 million a year at least just on marijuana possession arrests in New Jersey.
Well,
And
it should be a money issue every time we talk about it. I mean, it should be.
it is. It's a money issue. I mean, I think
Amongst
that
others.
there's this misconception that somehow arresting cannabis consumers makes money for the police. Like they get federal grant money, they meet these quotas. But at the end of the day, what's happening, especially in smaller towns and communities, not to mention big cities. I mean, one of the reasons Philadelphia decriminalized marijuana is because it saves $4 million a year. I mean, we were browning out fire departments before this, man. So, and yes, there's a fiscal way of thinking about it. But again, the misconception is that somehow cops make money busting potheads, but that is not the truth. Like in 2016, this volume of arrests for what is a low-level offense and for something that's legal in a lot of the country now is actually, I mean, these cops are arresting themselves right out of their own damn jobs. It costs so much money to arrest and process these arrests, especially in smaller towns and communities, that, if you're talking about a police force that numbers in the dozens or just a dozen, this is a huge drain on resources, even if it's a couple of dozen arrests a year. So, this is a big problem, and we're seeing these weird places like start to bloom a lot of marijuana arrests in New Jersey. Sparta, where Scott Vosilic had so much trouble, is one of those areas. Lake Hopatchong, like all these weird areas that are also pretty frequented by sort of summer tourists and things like that. This kind of stuff it's got to stop. And in our urban environments like Newark and Jersey City and in Camden, I mean, again, we want our police focused on community safety, and they're not stopping sexual assaults. They're not stopping the opiate crisis when they're processing somebody for having a joint over a station. So New Jersey's got a real problem with this. We're like this island of no criminal justice reform around here, and that's a big problem. And that's because of Governor Christie, and he's not completely responsible for this. I think the Democrats share responsibility. I mean, this is on the legislature. Yeah. So, criminal justice reform is happening all around the country. People are finding ways to deal with low-level offenses, especially things like marijuana, in a different way. And we are continuing what is the ultimate failed path of prohibition, even as the rest of the country moves forward. So, we'll see. I mean, Governor Christie coming out and signing the PTSD bill would be great. Getting some oral preparations at one of the cartel treatment centers, I guess, would be cool too, depending on how much they're charging you for it. But let's be honest. The system is not working. New York has only been open for a year and a half, and they're already talking about expanding, doubling their system. What the heck is happening in New Jersey?
Well,
we've spent 6 years under this restrictive cartel with this restrictive governor. This is ridiculous.
Well, we have a truly medical program here, is why we have so few patients, because unlike most of the rest of the country, our program is strictly medical, and this is why we have so few people in it, so says the governor. Yet for his strictly medical program, it isn't treated that way or with any urgency whatsoever. So, we hope he comes by again. We're trying to be nice, and Lefty's been amazingly unoffensive.
Like, everybody's. I understand, man. As a Quaker and as somebody who was on the board of CMMNJ for some time, I understand the approach that we've taken. But I think at this point in his political career, we also need to be honest about who Governor Chris Christie is, how he's run this state government, and how he's treated medical marijuana patients. Like, we've given him enough benefit of the doubt. We've given him enough slack on the line. We've given him every opportunity to be a good person. And
I never
leader.
I never gave him the benefit of the doubt myself, but
Well, I mean, Jim, you took a.
I doubted the whole time
here and there,
yeah.
So.
No,
he
did.
Him rumbling by at a state fair one day, and he snapped a picture with you. That was in the hopeful days where we thought he would be a reasonable human being.
It's real hard.
At the end of the day, I do not think it is too strong to say that in the wake of him supporting Donald Trump, and in the wake of him being the only mainstream politician really involved with that guy, and in the rhetoric that he spread, anti-marijuana rhetoric that he spread during the campaign process when he still thought he'd be president.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about where this guy is right now.
Well, you know,
All right, you know.
with the bill for post-traumatic stress being added, sitting on his desk, adds a little something into the measure there. Not like, I mean, he already knows what he's going to do, no doubt. But it's really hard for me to get behind having a full force pushing him to do something, because he doesn't like the appearance of being pushed into doing something. So, you know, I almost would feel like I don't want to do anything to jeopardize a fence-sitting governor on, does he want to veto it, or maybe he's going to risk a veto override that maybe he could just not sign it and let it become law without his signature, or, you know, weighing the options. But I fully agree that there is no hit and run on this subject of medical cannabis, especially where the things that he's said and done that helped us be where we are today, you know, I have a hard time forgetting that. You know, it's caused a lot of misery. And, you know, even today when he was talking about why he vetoed a couple of gun control measures, he decried how New Jersey already had some of the most burdensome, strict, overreaching laws, and everything he said applied to medical cannabis too. But, you know, gun control got his sympathy on the overburdensome rules, not medical marijuana law.
Here we go. Chris, I have an update for you. This is from Tony Liberty, the guy who sponsored our podcast.
Yes.
He says the ATT and Compassionate Sciences will soon be selling topicals, not edibles. They are supercritical CO2 extracted lotions. They will have lozenges available soon also, but not edibles. There you go.
Let me ask you what happens if you ate a topical. I mean,
Well, that's like, I guess,
What?
drinking a bottle of
I'm sure
wine.
nobody's
But,
going to try that, I'm sure.
You don't want to. Most of them have beeswax and like eucalyptus or just weird nasty
But
stuff.
couldn't
that
there
doesn't
be
feel very
couldn't
good.
there be a wink nudge topical? I mean, basically, I used butter as a topical on Cheryl, so she did consume it orally as well as use as a topical, and it worked.
Yeah, like coconut oil. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I infuse it with eucalyptus and lavender and peppermint and stuff like that.
Well,
Make
if
the
you
topical.
were allergic to all those things you just mentioned, maybe they could make you one with something more edible.
Propol glycerin.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's interesting because it does lead into the conversation on edibles, oral preparations for adults. And the fact is, the governor said publicly to me in Belmar at a town hall meeting with the question about edibles that, yes, if it was a clean bill and it didn't have anything to do with anything else other than allowing adults that privilege as well, that he would sign it. And I brought that up at the Assembly Regulatory Committee meeting a year and a half ago in March, that all they needed to do, somebody needed to do, was get him a bill, and he said he would sign it. And nobody ever got a bill to his desk for him to sign. So I don't really even know how to feel about that, because I feel like, you know, the governor left that statement hanging out there to me. He even said, "You can even be there to watch me do it," or something. I mean, what kind of? And that was in public in front of about 1,000 people. He said that. So I may revisit that as something that needs to be done before it gets, you know, washed away. But what a strange thing, though. You're right, that they can have topicals, but they can't ingest it orally, and I don't see how that saves anybody.
This is part of the rectal nebulization plan, right? This is the future of medical marijuana, Jim, is all about rectal nebulization. So it's not about eating the oils, you know what I mean? They go in the other end. You got to understand. If you want medical marijuana, that's where you're going to have to
Unless
get
you
it.
like it that way, then they'll figure out something else.
Yeah, well, you know.
No. I mean, you know, if they want you to just reenact the last 100 years of prohibition every time you give yourself a dose and just bend over and screw yourself. So it's awesome.
Well, you know,
and they want you to pay. That'll be about $1,200 per dose, right? Under New Jersey rules. I'm sorry.
They studied 20 years ago when I was having a back and forth with Elizabeth Murphy, Esquire of the DEA, about Marinol, and that it wasn't bioavailable. Roxanne Laboratories, who made it at the time, said 80 to 90% goes through your system unused, and I look at it from the other direction, saying that if you're getting between 10 and 20%, it's not even a standardized dose. I mean, one time could be twice as much as another. And her reply was that they were getting studying it in a suppository formulation. And you know, I said, listen, you know, Cheryl doesn't have a lot of dignity left at times, and you know, for some people, you know, that would exacerbate that problem. And she goes, well, it's very common in Europe, the way to take medicine. And I don't know what possessed me to say, well, if you take some that way and show me, then I'll go along with you on that. And she got pretty pissed. Basically, I said if she shoved it up her butt, you know, I'd do the same for
Show
Cheryl.
me how it goes in.
Well, a lot of people who have seizures, to take suppositories when they're having really severe seizures that won't stop. And
Well,
I know
that's
of
it,
a
yeah.
couple of patients that they've taken cannabis suppository. Well, they've been administered during a seizure and it stopped almost instantly. You know, like.
I'm not saying that there's. In fact, there's great science to support all of that. I just don't want to see the day where it's the only available.
Oh, hell no!
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely,
my concern.
you know.
That's where we're going in New Jersey, you know. So I want to make sure that that's not the only option. That's all.
Definitely.
Yeah, it seems like
You know, and we're
any
also
yeah.
seeing Whoopi Goldberg and her new line of vaginal suppositories, also with a lot of
man.
good science
Yeah.
behind it. But I also know that there's a political effort behind that. I know that Whoopi Goldberg knows that there's a secret. It's sort of like the Da Vinci Code of marijuana legalization, that one day, if every white woman in America has marijuana in their vagina, the jail cells across America will instantly open at that moment for all the black people who've been incarcerated. So that's key. I understand this, and it's very shrewd. I like it.
Thanks, Chris. Some woman of color just looked back at us with a funny look. I think it was a good look, though.
Well, you know, again, I mean, the future of marijuana is getting it into every upper and middle class white woman's vagina. That is the future. So,
I want it in an eye drop.
You know-
something that the boobs and buds movement just could not achieve will now be taken on by corporate.
Chris, let me
cannabis.
tell you
So,
something. I have some oil, and I put it on my genital area, and it really felt good. I'm just saying.
I'm glad to know, Lefty, that you're so honest about your own vaginal suppository, and I'm sure that will help the transgender.
Oh, thank you,
cannabis
Chris.
movement today.
Oh, man.
I was trying to find a way to follow that up. But
Chris, who's the bigger douche?
Well, and on that note, I must get going, guys. I appreciate the conversation.
Le-
Happy to
Lefty
talk
has
about,
final
rectal
question.
Suppositories and vaginal cannabis use anytime.
Yeah,
So, give
that's
me
a
ring.
first, a first, and a first.
Chris, who's the bigger douche? The dentist that voted no, or
Hold
You
on.
know, I think that Governor Christie, you know, he thinks that marijuana can just be smoked. If we did a real
please.
demonstration with real patients of all the ways that you can ingest cannabis, like on his front step one day, I'm sure he would be amazed.
Well, you know, Cheryl consumed it orally in a liquid form from her hospital bed in front of the same state house we're in front of on October 10th, 1997. So it's not new information even. You know, I got pictures. So
Well,
anyway,
I think that
Lefty, you got a
I
final
think that
question.
we'll have fun with that.
Yeah.
thanks, Chris.
You guys have fun. I'll see you guys out there soon. Have a good day out there.
You
I hope
too.
Governor Chris Christie comes by and signs your bill.
At our table.
At our table, yes.
All
Good
right.
talking to
I'll
you.
talk to
Thanks,
you guys
man.
soon.
Bye. I couldn't hang up on him. I did, but I didn't.
That's good. It's always good to call Chris.
He's awesome. That dude is a fountain of information. I love it.
He is.
Really is.
And between him and Ken, we could just take a break.
Yeah, we can go smoke some weed. Medicate with our cannabis.
Well, I can't, but I do like to be supportive of patients
You can help
while
me.
they smoke. You know, you don't want somebody to be by themselves and say you banished across the street. And
Lonely.
yeah, so no governor yet, but
It's almost time. He shows up any time now. Yeah, this is his time.
And we got William facing the doorway, because I think the last 2 times he came, William was first or second to get my attention that he was coming. So it's good to have people facing in different directions. Because we have the warning of the security detail making themselves visible.
This is true. Thanks, Jim.
Sorry, William, what'd you say?
This is true. Thank you,
Yes.
Jim.
Well, we got a spotter,
But we're a team.
We are.
We're working together.
We have been doing that with greater ease as the weeks go by.
Yes, we have. We've been getting much better with that.
Podcast 20.
Always room for improvement.
Yeah, well, we got the bar still set low enough where we could probably improve regularly. But from where we started out, we're finding a groove of sorts. And the governor smiles at us now when he walks by, so that's not a bad thing, not particularly.
What else can he do? There's cones in his face when he comes to work. What are you going to do?
I actually
Take it.
forget about that. When he's come the last couple of times, in my head, I'm not thinking, okay, he's coming up to a bunch of cones. That sets the tone.
Yeah.
It's the cone tone.
Take the pain, Governor.
Yeah, and take the pain. But he's been a good sport. I mean, he's a pretty good sport last time, and part of me says, look out, Jim. That's because he's going to have the last laugh soon. He thinks, perhaps. And I just don't want him to play around with this bill, and what it would be. If he's going to veto it, I think we're going to have a really large effort at an override vote, because we got more than enough votes in both the Assembly and Senate. 2 extra votes, yes, votes that passed the post-traumatic stress edition bill.
I really don't want to be a jerk to the governor. I really don't. I need reasons to like this guy. I'm looking for reasons to like him.
Well, one reason would be if he actually had the conversation with us. And, if he said to us, I'd like to talk to you, but, off the record first. And, come on inside. We'd go, right?
Can I roll a joint on your desk?
Yeah. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about.
No, that's not good.
No. Well,
Damn it.
I don't really see, you could probably just open it up and stink up the place.
I did that in court for Jesse's court date. By the way, the INE tour won our court date. We won.
What do you mean? Red
Lion, police station.
Yeah.
We won.
Why wasn't that made known to our many, many viewers?
Yeah, it's being. I'm telling you right now.
I know.
Jesse
but
won. We're gonna call her.
Would you have an embargo that said, well?
We're gonna call her now.
Oh no, you're 6 minutes early. Had to
It
wait
was
till
great. It was great. The cop didn't show up. They called the cop a few times, and we were all there with our shirts on. We were ready for court. We were going to put the whole program on trial, the police department on trial for retaliation. We could prove that the cops lied. We proved that with the video that the cops lied about the seatbelts. They lied about everything. They didn't want to be on trial.
And so you're going to call Jesse.
And we're going to give Jesse a call.
Yeah, when you do, and just for fun. And this is all in good fun.
It
You want
is.
to pick an over/under for when she stops answering your initial question? Like 90 seconds, 3 minutes, 60 seconds, 20 seconds, 10? An over/under.
30.
30? I'll take over. But we'd have to be able to time it. We may not need to time it.
Okay, hold on.
Well, she's going to have a lot to say, and she does string it together quickly. And this is pretty important, though.
Why did we lose our connection? Why did we lose our connection? Why did we lose our connection? Are you kidding me?
We lost our connection to... We're not broadcasting.
No. The phone. We lost the phone. Just give me a minute.
You want to use my...
Nope, that's not gonna
I got a smartphone of some sort.
God, no, it's just my device here. Sorry about that. I have to produce for about a minute here. Give
So
me a minute.
anyway, but this is going to be good news. You can...
Amazing news, Jim. Oh my God.
Well, you can tell us. I mean, it's not like she
Well,
needs to break news. You already did.
I
Spoiler
did.
alert notwithstanding.
I smoked cannabis outside. I walked in with my cannabis with my bong. The police officer didn't give me a hard time.
Walked in
except
where?
Into the courtroom. But however, while I was sitting in court, my package happened to be open.
Happened to be?
It happened to be.
It seriously happened to be? Or
Randomly just opened up.
really randomly, or you felt like doing it randomly? Come on, fess up. We tell the truth here.
I opened my package up.
Okay.
And I waved it around,
Now
so
that-
it stunk the room up.
Well, okay. We're talking about legal cannabis in a container.
Yes.
Because I don't think you can say I went into court and opened my package up and waved it around. You got to make it really clear what you're talking. It could have been me the way I hear things sometimes.
I did. I opened my package up and I waved it around in court.
And was it odoriferous?
It stunk. So the
That
bailiff,
is what odoriferous means, I hope.
the bailiff came up to me and he says, "Excuse me, sir, you smell like cannabis."
Did he really?
And so Stephen Kupsilich, PH, comes up. I said, "Yeah, I'm a medical marijuana patient." Stephen comes up.
He
Says,
learned it from me.
"It might be me too." And then we both pointed at Jesse and check her too. It was great. It was awesome.
That's funny. Well, considering Stephen was the one who was at Scott's trial in Sparta and initiated me to how, I don't know, humorous it could kind of be to smell that sitting in court and it's legal. You don't want to look like we're rubbing it in their face and somebody says, "Well, this is the problem I'm having legal." They're going to, but everybody's been such.
Too bad.
Yeah, right. It's all
Too
bets
bad.
are off by the way patients have been treated every step of the way.
Deal with it.
Which, by the way, every week we're on, I got to say something about you really need to start using your ammunition. You got it. All the INA tours. We got a state attorney general. We could be ready to lay this in his lap, and we got to find you some technical help. Anybody that knows anything about what do they need to know to help you. I mean, if I storyboarded, if I found things I thought that would be good, and I'll take them out of what I have of your tours, or you say, what you think should be included. We need 2 minutes that can be for public consumption that goes to the state attorney general and basically complains about his lack of making sure that this law is being enforced properly, because that's his job. And you can prove how incredibly
Incompetent?
incompetent, that's a good word, or ignorant, because they're not aware. So if he thought, the state attorney general thought it was his job to send it out and that's where his job ended, he's sorely mistaken. If it was anything else, he'd be on it. But I think this is the culture in the state, because of our governor, that he doesn't feel any repercussions, at least from the administration, by him not taking care of this. And we got to make that obvious, especially for a man who would like to be the United States Attorney General, that he should not condone the job that his state attorney general is doing on this issue. He has to, we have to make that public. And while you have everything that you have, it's not public. There's people that don't know anything about this. Matter of fact, if you surveyed people, very few people know about the Ignorance is No Excuse tour. But that could change. If this goes through the state attorney general's office in a public way, it becomes fodder for more national news.
Could change after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, Jesse.
Yes.
Jesse, it's Lefty and Jim, Cleo,
Hey.
and William. You're on the air. How are you?
Hey. I'm sitting under a canopy in about 100-some degree weather with humidity at its highest. How are you?
Good. So do you have good news for us?
Oh, our news from the other day?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, we totally won, and he totally did not want us to win. He was so funny how he sat back real boastfully the whole time for 3 court dates for all those people and told them about the law and this and that. But when I went up there with my papers and I went up there with my information, he's like, there'll be no need for that. There'll be no need for that. I was like, why? This is my defense, Your Honor. No. And then starts going into how 2 troopers, a prosecutor, and himself could not find an officer, and because of that, they had to drop it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, thank you, Your Honor. And out of nowhere, I said, praise the Lord, amen. And he's like, you can just leave the courtroom now.
Please leave the courtroom,
And I got
Jesse.
scampered.
So you won. That's great.
What was that?
They didn't want any part of you, Jesse.
I can't hardly hear you, honey. What was that?
They were scared of you. They wanted no part of you.
No, I was ready. They didn't know how to take on you or me. They were looking at our cards like we were freaking weirdos.
Yeah.
They were like singling us out, and they gave me the most stupid answer why they were asking for my card. I was like, why do you need my card? Because somebody came in here smelling like weed. So I need your card. But you're not going to ask anybody else in the courtroom for their card?
That was me and Steven. Sorry.
No, but I'm just saying, why did he have to come up to me and nobody else in that courtroom and ask me if it just smelled like weed?
I snitched you out.
I'm just saying, I probably smell like weed, but I don't care because I wouldn't have been able to sit in that courtroom if I didn't.
The bailiff came up to me, and then Steven came up and said, no, it's me, and then we both pointed at you.
I love it. And that's how we have to play this game. But let me tell you, driving down to Virginia, I've never in my life seen more officers in my life Delaware. More people pulled over. And I'm not realizing I'm not in New Jersey, and I go to the toll booth, and the lady's like, it smells like weed in your car. I got all the windows down. It's like 78 degrees at like 12 o'clock at night. And I'm like, yes, my car smells like weed. I'm a patient. He's a patient. My friend to my right. And then I was like, even my dog's a patient. She thought we were joking, and she like giggled, and then she realizes we're not joking. She didn't know what to do.
Jesse, how many people in court were being charged with cannabis? A lot, right?
Oh my God, we couldn't count them. I kept looking at you every time, and I kept getting so mad. And it's a minimum of $2,400 fine because they get a possession charge and they get paraphernalia charge.
And what did the judge tell the one guy?
He can get, well, I don't know which one.
You need to quit smoking pot, son. You need to quit smoking pot.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he said that. I was like, which one? Which guy?
Yeah, you need to quit smoking pot,
A lot
son.
of it's not other than he didn't want to talk loud when we won.
Mm-hmm. We made a
What
lot.
about this music festival? This is my reward.
We made a lot of friends in court.
We really did. We really did. And they were so in shock that I was doing it. Every attorney said I should lay down and die. I refused to lay down and die.
Yep. Offering you plea deals.
Anyway, why do I want to, like, beat that clock up in any form or fashion?
No, they knew they were caught on film lying, so they didn't want no part of that.
No, they were like, this is dangerous. We need to go. I was like, I told the bailiff, I said, this is more than just a traffic ticket. I was like, this is retaliation against me for being a patient.
Yes, it was. Total retaliation.
And he didn't know what to do when I said those words. He was like, okay, I'll let the judge know.
Yeah, we're putting you guys on trial.
Put me on trial, we
I'm
put
innocent
you.
until proven guilty because that's what they have to prove without a reasonable doubt that we did something wrong.
No, we could prove they did something wrong,
There's
though.
so much doubt he couldn't even show up. Get it? Vengeance is mine, say Jesse Nicole in the state of New Jersey.
Vengeance is mine. Flip the script.
Vengeance is mine, say it's me.
Well, glad it worked out.
They already got enough money out of my ass and enough of my time, and I'd already spent 3 days in that courtroom alone. All the gas there and back. That was like a 2.5 hour round trip.
Yeah, the one thing I regret was mentioning about the white privilege, because I know you're not white. You're actually a Native American, and I did mention white
I'm
privilege.
Native American and mutt.
And
There's white in there.
and I
but I'm
stirred
mutt.
up some crap, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got to not put the white privilege or black privilege because that's only us being in the system and making it into a color thing. You know, it's just we're sick. We're choosing a better way. There's other people out there that have illnesses and situations that need it that we don't even know yet or why. And the sickness is still attached to it like they're still teaching it as that drug when I know they're not.
I'm trying to listen to somebody talk, but they're not talking. I can't work like that when I'm confused. Jim, go. Yeah, brain fart. Sorry. It happens. I need to go smoke some cannabis.
Delay for me.
Yeah, I need to go smoke some weed and take a break. So, Jesse, thank you.
Well, I'm so glad to talk to y'all. I'm sorry I'm on the side of a country hill, but
Well, it sounds like a great place to be.
Yeah, I bet you're smoking a blunt right now.
It's a beautiful place. I am.
Well,
You know,
enjoy it,
it's Flower
you
Park
know.
here.
Enjoy
And it's like, no joke, it's probably like 105 if you go in the heat. I don't even know what it is. It's that ungodly hot.
Well, enjoy your success.
Thank you, Jim. I know.
Because
I'm so excited for everyone.
you definitely
Yes.
fought hard for it,
Yeah.
and maybe it'll
One
encourage
back
other people
down.
to do
It
the
took a
same.
lot of saying no.
That's
I'm
right.
right. You know,
Yeah.
I had to say no, I'm right so many times. I about got tired of it myself.
Well, we're glad it worked out, Well, it had to, really.
Yeah.
Because if they wanted to take you down, then you could take them down with you. And that's usually where everybody goes away,
Yeah.
their own way at the end of the day. Good.
That's wild.
Good. Well, you got to take successes where you can. And
I'm so excited. I'm moonwalking.
all right. Well, listen,
Thank you,
enjoy
Jesse.
your hillside, and we'll celebrate for you when we have opportunity to.
Jesse, let me ask you a question. Who's the bigger douche, the judge or the cop that busted us?
All of them.
Yeah, you got to pick one.
Pick one.
The cop.
I did hang up. It didn't sound like I hung up, but I hung up. Just so you know, at home.
You hung up?
Yeah.
Why, you didn't like the answer?
No.
You thought it was the judge? Well, that's good. That's good.
I'm gonna go smoke some weed. Excuse me. Sorry, Jim. Leaving you all alone. Would you like me to play some music for you, or a tape of somebody talking while you take a break with us? Or
Yeah, because I need to
Really?
stretch my feet, yeah.
All right, let me find.
We
something.
get to do that. Hey, listen, I watch the guys, listen to the guys at MMR in the morning, because having been in the studio, I can picture the setup, and I look for hints. I like the way they pass things around. I see how they interact with each other, and can picture it. And they take a 2-song, several commercial break.
Yes, they do.
I believe once an hour, and it's about 12 minutes. But so I figure we should probably take one in the middle of the day. There's always something to play that's certainly pertinent, and where we have a break. And one day we'll be able to have like graphics on the bottom of the screen. People might be saying that this is break time.
Okay.
It's a beautiful day in Trenton though today.
I love the inspirational words of Garen Angel, so we're going to play some inspirational
he's
words
awesome, yeah.
on our break here. This guy's a very successful cannabis activist.
And this is his magical butter machine.
Friday.
here.
What's up, everyone? How are we? Back for a little motivation again. And it's been a great week. I just got to Lauderdale. Tomorrow I'm in South Beach for a day, back home for my kids' last day of summer. Going to be an exciting weekend. But today we're going to talk about directing your life. And this one came a long time ago. I had a conversation, and I was just telling them, going back to that, direct your own life, being your character. When you're younger, you make a lot of mistakes, right? And that's kind of what growing up is, through your teens, through your 20s, and really into your early 30s. You're developing your character. You're figuring out what you want to be when you grow up, and what your skill sets are, what your strengths are. And really, the beauty of social media is you can look back at your storyline and edit it. And not edit the text or anything like that, but edit the future. And so when you're looking at your storyline, if you're not seeing what you want to see, how much are you posting about positive? How much are you posting about negative? Well, maybe if you stop posting negatives, you'd stop focusing on the negative aspects of your life. So when you start to really just look for the best in every day, you're going to develop a better character. You're also going to develop a better storyline. And, I'm not done on the character part yet, because it's not just about you. When you're creating a character or a storyline, which is what directing your life is about, you need supporting cast. So in your own life, you are the main character. You're the star of it, whether you want to be, whether you don't want to be. You're the star of your own show, and that's what your life is. So as you're developing your characters, what are you weak in, right? And so, some of my weaknesses and a lot of my weaknesses are my wife's strengths. So she was my leading lady, my co-star, if you will, in my life and in my storyline. And a lot of what she does offsets, my weaknesses and vice versa. And that's wonderful at home. Well, you're going to need several characters in your story. So you're going to need a boss. You're going to need, and no matter what, you have a boss. Even if you work for yourself, you still have a boss. So, don't say, oh, I don't have a boss. Everybody has a boss. You always have a boss. You always answer to somebody. I don't care who you are. So, make sure that you have a great boss, and develop the right character for who you want to, be your mentor in life. And maybe that's a better word than boss, is your mentor, right? So, now you've got those. What about your friends? So every star in every show has friends. Make sure that they have the character and they are of character, that they're passionate and compassionate people. And quite frankly, that they're just not assholes, right? So that's something pretty important when you're developing your co-characters. Now you've got all these characters. What do you want your story to be? So now you know what your team looks like. Write your story. For my story, I want it to be about, public health and eradicating poverty on my life goals. And then I want my family goals. When I die, I want my wife to say, he was an awesome husband. And my kids to say, he was a great daddy. I love him to pieces. And, I don't know what your storyline is. That's mine, right? And it's very simple. Now, your story is going to be constantly evolving. And it's how many people you can affect. And here, I want to share a story with you. There's a guy, he goes jogging every day. And sees the same old lady sitting by the lake every single time he goes for his jog. And, finally, after months and months and months of doing this, he stops and he asks the old lady, he says, "What in the world are you doing?" And she looks up and she says, "Well, I catch the turtles and then I clean their shells because, the algae makes their shell softer and they live longer and they're just happier when they're clean." I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." And he's like, "You do this every day?" And she goes, "Yeah, I come down here and I spend 15 minutes every day doing this." And, he said, "Well, there's hundreds of ponds around the world and, you're affecting, 10 turtles a day. This is pointless. I don't get the logic of what you're doing." And she says to him, she says, you don't see the world the way I see it. She said, "Because if you ask that turtle right there, if he appreciated that, this might be that turtle's best day." And so what you need to do to really have an impactful story and have a team behind you, have co-stars, is, scrub the little turtles' backs, and make them better. And by doing that, what will happen is you'll have people who enjoy your story way better. They'll be your advocates, they'll be your backers, they'll be the people who love you and support you. So as you're writing your story, make sure every time you see a dirty turtle that you pick it up and you clean it. And don't do that in real life without, cleaning your hands, doing a few other things, being careful not to get bit by the turtle. But hey, I guess that's part of it too. Every once in a while, as you're helping a little guy, you're going to get bit. And that's part of giving back, and some people don't have character and they never got to that first step. So their story isn't going to be quite as abundant and as successful as yours. And now that you've got this story written, you have to learn how to bow out at some point. And what I mean by that is, in every situation, there's a time for the story to end. And in work and in life, it's always difficult to have happily ever after because our skill sets hit a peak, and that's usually where we want to find our exit. And in order to have a great retirement and a great future and a good end to your story, it's important that you bow out at the right time. So make sure that you know that when your story, and usually, if you want to keep a sequel and you want to keep this story kind of going and have a regenerative one, you're going to pull it up and, like all the greats in sports and everything else, when they get to that peak year, and they won that championship and they're getting up there in years and they know they might not get back there next year because their skill sets have diminished a little bit, that's when you gracefully bow out. And on the ride down, it's not a precipitous decline if you bow out gracefully. On the way out, now you start to enjoy the fruits of all those labors of those years of building up your character. And then from there, you were writing your storyline. Well, what's happening in life now is the median age is going to continue to shift. Okay? So people's retirement party is going to be much longer than it used to be. So make sure that you're part of this new age where you're living longer because you're taking care of yourself, and bow out of life in a graceful way where you really enjoy it in the finest years, where you know you have the knowledge, you have character, you have a supporting cast, and hopefully you've acquired enough resources to be able to do the things that you want to do. So the more people you help, the better your story will be. Anthony, you are so right, brother. You know, and that's I learned that from Magical Butter, really, and it got me involved in the cannabis industry and helping people by the masses. You know, before I was a consultant, and I helped a few people at a time. Now, doing it by the masses is a much different effect, and it's a much more fulfilling storyline for myself. And it's made me find so much more passion and compassion for life and understanding and reprioritizing. You know, so that's really what it is. Don't be afraid to change your story. That's absolutely right? And that's developing your character and your characters. So if you're not happy with the story you're currently writing, look back through your social feed. You know, look back through your own page and see if you're proud of what you're putting out there. You know, and if you're not, that's your journal in life. There's going to come a point in time when you go back in your own life and you look back and you say, you know, that's kind of like what Time Hop does. And on this day, you know, when you go back and you look and you say, this is what I was doing, make sure you're proud of it. And if you're not, go scrub a little turtle. And you know, you don't have to post their picture to embarrass them or anything along those lines. But, you know, if it's somebody whose story needs to be told, tell it. And if it's somebody who is really down in the dumps, don't tell it. You know, and that's really the way I look at it, is if their story needs to be told because it'll help someone else, tell their story. And that's how you know which turtles you want to give light to. You know, one of the other analogies, you know, tell the stories of likable heroes. And those are the characters that you want to put into your storyline. So gather as many likable heroes as you can around you, promote their story, and you know, let them be, you know, this amazing star in your story, and that's really when you'll be winning. So, you know, I have a dinner meeting. I wanted to do this early today, and I was traveling because I had to get to Miami for the weekend and for a couple meetings. So I didn't get to this as early as I wanted to, but I love you guys. You know, cheers to goodness. You're my friends. I'm just trying to give you a few little tips every once in a while. Hit the subscribe button. You'll know when I go live. I do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to continue to do it. You know, I think it's important that people have a little resource where they can spend 10 minutes, 3 days a week, picking up just common sense, but things we don't think about every day, and just different perceptions and different looks at the way we do life. So that's what I've got for you today. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Garen Angel. That guy's great. Wow, surround yourself with heroes. Is that what he said? Surround yourself with heroes? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. Is that what he said? Did I get that right? Surround.
For a couple meetings. So
Hang on.
one of the other analogies, you know, tell the stories of likable heroes.
Likable heroes.
And
Likable heroes. So, yeah, surround yourself with likable heroes. Jim, you're a likable hero to me.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I'm glad I'm likable. The other part I could dispute, though.
I'm an unlikable something. I won't say what. Why? Why, Cleo? Why? And now you're not talking into it. Talk into it. If you're going to yell, talk in.
Turn it off, I said.
Thank you.
And then I put it down.
Thank
Well,
you.
this is, you know, where we have the bar set. This is easy to improve on, too.
That's an easy one.
I still keep, well, not so for this week. I'll unwrap something in front of me, and I don't realize that can be picked up over the microphones.
Yeah.
But I figure, hey, we're outside. You're gonna have other noises, and old people coming by to call marijuana a growth stunting agent.
I love that. That was great.
The guy's like 5'3",
And about 200 years old.
and he comes by saying marijuana will stunt your growth.
I need some. I changed my mind.
Well, I always like it when, actually when somebody does have an opposite point of view, if they're willing to express it in a logical, linear way. We've had conversations before where we diverged greatly with somebody and yet can have a quick little conversation. too few are the people willing to actually stop and grab a mic, and when somebody does and goes the other way, like our senior friend, it's kind of fun.
Hey, you kids, get off the grass!
And an older woman in the
Excuse me.
background saying, "Oh, come sit down. You're going to have a heart attack."
Do we know his name?
No, we
I don't think he knows his name, William.
Let's
I mean, he pops in every other week.
well, let's just call him Henry.
Or Hank.
Herb.
Herb. Yeah, Herb.
There you go. That would be
Herb, I like that. You know, one time at John Wilson's trial in Somerset County, there was a guy that came up in a scooter who was really against medical marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
He was horrible about it. So what I did where he stopped one time is I put a medical marijuana sign on the back of his scooter. And then we took turns talking to him 5 minutes at a time because it kept him there. Because we didn't have anybody with a scooter. We had nothing. We were all patient advocates that looked healthy as could be.
So juvenile, Jim.
Yeah. And then let him ride away with the sign on the back of his thing, so he looked like he was scouting around and doing good for us, Lemons, lemonade, you know how it goes.
That's assault. When you do something like that to somebody, that's assault.
Yes.
You assaulted him.
Yeah.
How else did you get that sticker on him besides touching him?
Oh, I didn't touch
Unwanted
him. No, I
touching.
didn't. It was on a scooter.
Oh, it was on his scooter.
Yeah, it was on the back of his scooter. I taped
Good
it to the
job.
back of his scooter.
Good job. It's not assault.
Yeah, I got pictures of it somewhere, but
Good
it
for
was
you.
it was pretty effective.
Bastard.
Yeah. One time we sent a sign in to what was then Governor Whitman's Drumthwacket, where we were actually, nobody stopped us from protesting at the front gate there, where the cutaway section at the time. And we all go up and would buzz the gate, and they'd say what, and we'd say something. They were great sports back then. And a guy came in for a goose control of some sort. He had a van, and I taped a sign, a medical marijuana sign on the back of his van, and it just disappeared around behind Drumthwacket. It was harmless,
Oh, man.
It's-
Harmless to you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Every
what
joke
about-
has a victim, Jim.
What about them geese, though?
Oh,
So, yeah.
okay. Can I interrupt the show for 2 minutes?
We're having a show?
Are we on? Are we on? Okay. I need to call my dispensary and make an appointment. Can I do that right now? Because I forgot to do it. I really forgot. I got to get in there.
You actually got to make an
I
appointment.
got to get in. I need my weed
Yeah.
for Friday.
Is there any personal information that you're going to say on the?
They could let them steal my information. I want them to steal my card information. I do.
Breakwater, Sam speaking. How may I help you?
Yes, hi. This is Lefty Grimes. We're on the air. I'm doing a podcast right now, and I want to come and pick up some cannabis today. Can I do that? Can I make an appointment?
Yes, Lefty. Can I just verify your prescription and everything?
Sure. It might be under Edward. They call me Edward sometimes, so it's Edward Grimes.
Okay. Yeah, this is Sam. I know who you are.
Oh, hey Sam, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. How are you?
Great, man. You're the best dispensary in New Jersey, as far as I'm concerned. The best customer service. I always get an appointment. I knew when I called in that I'd get in there today or tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow. I'll probably come in tomorrow.
Yeah, as long as your prescription's good, you don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to call us or anything.
Really?
You can just walk on in. Yeah.
Really? Well, that's wow. Sam, thank you. You just made my day.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Yeah, must-
Did you hear that, Jim? You could just walk in there.
That's progress.
Yeah, that's wow.
Awesome.
And you get great discounts there. If you wear a CMMNJ shirt in there, you will get a discount. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, thanks.
yes,
That's
sir,
great.
You will get that, and then you'll get your extra discount as well.
Uh-huh.
So it looks like you are good, Lefty, for your remaining prescription.
Okay, great.
So you definitely come on in whenever you like.
Sam, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, dude.
Awesome. You're welcome. We'll see you tomorrow. Have
See
a
you
great
tomorrow.
day.
You too. Bye-bye. Now, you see how easy that is? That's how it should be. That's how it should be.
Yeah, when, did you know that you didn't have to call in and make an appointment anymore?
I didn't know that. I didn't know I could just walk in. That's great.
Found that out live on the air worldwide.
Wow.
Lefty gets a surprise.
From Breakwater Dispensary in Cranberry, New Jersey. I'm going to get the blueberry that they have there. They have 3 types of blueberry, and the AK-47 is very good also.
3 types of blueberry.
3 different
Like a hybrid of blueberry and
different terps, different, I forget the word. There's a different word they use, but genomes, maybe?
that could be fine. I
3
don't
different
know.
genomes.
I don't have to know. I'm not a patient. You, on the other hand,
The strands
you
of
get to know
the
this stuff.
The strands make the difference.
The strands. Oh, okay. Let's take this apart. What's a strand?
Here's some strands.
Yeah, William, explain to me what a strand is. I want to know. I'm interested in knowing what a strand is.
Well,
A strand of marijuana. You're talking about hemp fiber. Of course, you're talking about hemp fiber. A strand of hemp fiber, right? Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, that's our answer. Just checking. Just checking.
It's all over my head here.
We're an informational show. I'm just making sure.
Well, I'm not getting the information. It's over my head.
What does the strands of hemp fiber have to do with what we're talking about, though? I'm just asking.
Well, it's on topic.
Well, with the blueberry,
Yes.
my understanding
Yeah.
is on the different effect of the medication on you has to do with the different strand.
The different strands.
Yes. Like, let's just say, for instance, example, I'm using blueberry with another strand. I'm incorporating,
Why?
trying to improve.
That's what we're trying to do right now.
The
Why-
medication. That's all.
Okay, but what do these strands have to do? What do the strands have to do with it? I want to know.
I don't know. I'm going to back off now and say,
Okay,
I don't know because he's pumping me,
I'm just-
pumped me into the corner, and I'm,
This is where we need Ken.
I want you to get mad. William.
Well, I'm not gonna, that's not going to happen today.
Damn it. Damn it.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at you as,
All right. You know how? Okay. I usually
I'm
do
just going to leave it there.
I've been doing stuff off the air with you, telling you stuff off the air because I don't want to beat you up, as you say, beat you up on the air. But this time I have to say something to you
Okay.
because we went through sativa. We fixed that. We fixed the sativa.
We fixed
We've-
my pronunciation of
Okay.
wording.
We have to fix this one now. This is one more we have to work on.
Okay.
There's a difference. Now we're going to educate people right now. There's a difference between strains of cannabis and strands of cannabis. There is a strand of cannabis and there is a strain of cannabis. Strands of cannabis usually have to do with the fibrous tissue of the plant.
Which is a breakdown of all its molecules.
And it could be a different strain. Hemp, you know what? I wonder if hemp has strains. Here's a good question that we just brought up by talking about this. Does hemp have strains? Now, I know medical cannabis has strains. Does hemp have strains? Does some have, I didn't know this.
I would think there's a possibility.
We should call Les Stark and ask him that question. He would know.
I think there's a very good possibility to that.
Now that's, see,
I
now,
mean, you take whatever it is and you break down the atom.
that's very interesting.
You know what I mean? Because that's basically where we are today.
So you know a guy?
How come you don't know that, Jim?
What?
If hemp has different strains.
Because I asked Ken and Chris.
Let's ask Ken. Since he's not here, we'll just call him up. There we go.
Yeah, you can't avoid us.
No, you can't hide from us, Ken. You should know better. All right, we have a hemp question
Well, he
for you.
could still be on his way.
I think this is his mobile number. Let's see. A hemp question for Ken. He doesn't get many hemp questions. See, I'm glad
I'll be honest, I wasn't even listening.
yeah, we need more bracelets. So, William, we got that straight now? Strains and strands? Strains.
Is that his
Strands.
cell?
Yeah.
You probably
Thank you.
That's all.
Probably catch him at home.
I really wanted you to get mad, but you didn't.
Hi, you've reached Ken Walski at
Oh,
Okay, let's try another number, Mr. Wolski. Let's try this one.
this would be the number on his
Pennsylvania.
business card.
Call Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Call Les.
I have to get Les's number. You have Les Stark's number?
No.
You have Les's number? Give me his number.
No, but I know you did.
I used to. I have it somewhere.
What happened? You got it. You just have to search for it. That's all.
Well, I don't think he's going to answer this either. Well, he's not going to answer.
Hi, you've reached Ken Walski at 72.
We don't need to know this right now.
It's a good question.
Put it on a shelf.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a good question, but we will be talking to someone, no doubt, today. And I'll listen to what it is you're talking about next time. I was deep in thought about another part of the program coming up, and
Well, here, I'll try.
That happens.
you know.
Here we go. I got it.
He
So you-
found it. Oops, there it is.
Let's try this.
Oops.
I love a good hemp question.
This is Les.
This is Les, I believe.
Well, tell our viewers who Les would be.
Les Stark is a great activist from Pennsylvania, the Keystone Cannabis Coalition.
Hello.
Hello, Les. This is Lefty and Jim. You're on the air. Can we talk to you for a minute?
Who is it?
This is Lefty Grimes and Jim Miller. How are you?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
And William. William Haney's here. Sorry, it's William's with us. I'm sorry. Les, how are you, buddy? How are you doing?
Pretty good. Hold on a second. Hey, I'm doing all right.
Well, we have a hemp question for you.
Okay, I have a hemp answer.
Okay. Does hemp have different strains? Like, you know how
Yeah.
regular cannabis has different strains? Does hemp have different strains?
Right. Hundreds of strains.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Oh, who knows? Maybe thousands, but definitely hundreds.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, like, for example, that's one of the things that we'll be trying to find out with our hemp program here in Pennsylvania next year and probably the following year. We want to find out which strains of hemp grow best in Pennsylvania soil and which strains grow best for, various purposes. One of our friends up in Lycoming County has, Luzerne County, he has, it is Lycoming County. He has an oil mill, and he currently produces canola and sunflower, which, by the way, it's a little hard to talk because there's an echo, and the echo is really kind of messing with my speech here.
Is that better?
It's okay. That fixed it. So, basically, he has an oil press, and he currently grows canola and sunflower, and he processes canola oil and sunflower oil. What he wants to do is produce a hemp seed oil. Hemp seed oil is awesome, but you're not supposed to fry things in it because they call it the flash point, and you can lightly saute with hemp seed oil, but high heat is not good for it. So there's a certain strain of hemp that he wants to experiment with because it'll produce an oil with a higher flash point that you might actually be able to fry stuff in it. And but yeah, there's lots of different strains of hemp.
And do they have distinctly different characteristics in the different strains? Like if you were going to be taking a tablespoonful of hemp seed oil in the morning and the night for health reasons, would one strain of hemp provide something noticeably different than another for that effect?
That's a good question. I can't really say that I know the answer, but it's a good question to find out. In terms of the nutritional value of the seed, I don't know if there's a lot of uniformity there, or if it depends on which strain you do.
Yeah,
when
I originally heard about the benefits of hemp seed oil and the essential fatty acids that you could get, and the proportion of linolenic and linoleic essential fatty acids are in good relation to each other. Now, I didn't even know what a lot of that meant, but it just seemed like it was a very attractive characteristic, just taking a spoonful at night and in the morning, and people would say things like, well, their nails got harder and things just kind of went better, itchy skin might go away. Yeah, it was, kind of hit or miss, but we were talking about whether there would be different strains or not. It's funny because we didn't know who to go to. Well, of course, Lefty said, we're going to call Les, because we really hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I should find out the answer. I know, everybody has different approaches and different interests and so forth. And my good friend Sean Patrick House, who has the company called Hensel's, he makes pretzels from the hemp seed.
Wow.
And I've worked with Sean many different events, and Sean's really big on the nutritional aspect of hemp seed. And he was always explaining to the customers about how it's, rich in essential fatty acids and omega-3s and highly digestible protein and things like that. That was his approach. My approach was, it tastes great. I was less interested in the nutritional aspects, and that's just me personally, because I don't take any kind of vitamins or minerals and any kind of nutritional supplements. I try to eat right, and I find I have just as good as results as all these people who measure every calorie and every milligram of nutritional this and that. I'm 50 years old, and there's not a darn thing wrong with me, and I expect that to last for a long time. I don't know why, but I don't have as big of an interest in the nutritional aspect, although it did have some value in, teaching people about hemp and why it should be legal. And, but now we have it legal. But we should work on these questions and figure out, do the different strains and varieties have different nutritional aspects? And matter of fact, when we have our trials for hemp next year, we need to frame every crop that we grow, at least for the first year or two, until federal policy works itself out, has to have some type of research component. We have to prove that the farmers will be allowed to harvest their crop and they'll be allowed to sell it, but there has to have some type of research angle, and that might be a good research angle. We could grow different strains of hemp and then figure out which has the most nutritional value. That could be a good way to frame a research project. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's go ahead.
Les, that would be fabulous. Is William Haney here? How you doing, Les?
Pretty good. Who's this?
This is William Haney, Les.
All right. Hey, how's it going, man?
Not bad. But I agree with, because we had a discussion earlier and we were talking about medication, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it came down to strains and strands from the medication standpoint, and then the question came in about the hemp, and then I responded with, yes, there are, but I didn't have any idea of exactly how many.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hundreds.
Right.
Because I had just I did the Bud Summit on Sunday, and and I did the hot box with the flag, and I was talking about down the road of having the flag made out of hemp, and you were going to be my contact.
All right.
You know what I mean? That State of Compassion flag that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a hemp flag.
So I was throwing that out there at the hot box.
Yeah.
But anyway, the bottom line is it's always good to hear from you, and I'm so
Awesome.
excited over the fact that being able now to start going into your hemp products, you'll be able to break it down to what products can be best suited for what strand.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's going to be really exciting over the next, the rest of our lives. All these things that we fought for the last 20 years are going to start to materialize, and we're going to really see things. You think about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Colorado and Washington State didn't even have legalization yet. 5 years ago, legalization was some kind of a dream. We didn't have any good examples of legalization. It was always theoretical and hypothetical, and now it's coming to fruition. In November, we're just a couple months away from 5 more states voting on it. I don't know if all 5 states will vote yes, but there's a pretty good chance that at least 3 of the 5 will vote yes. Nevada, California, and Maine are pretty much seem to be guaranteed. And Massachusetts is a possibility, and Arizona is a possibility, but they might fail. But we could get 2, 3, 4, or 5 more states for legalization. And then everything we ever wanted to know, all the questions that we have, everything's going to be answered over the next several years. And over the course of our lives, we're going to see, a brand new world emerge, and it's really exciting to be able to participate in this brand new world, this brave new world.
I love the fact that we're talking about industrial hemp that will build houses and medicinal hemp. I'll call it medicinal hemp. I will. Medicinal hemp with CBD.
Medicinal hemp. Well, I'll tell you, there's going to be a big market too. When farmers grow hemp, for those who can get in on the CBD market, there's a lot of money to be made there. There's a danger of the market being flooded and too much CBD being produced, and then all the people who thought they were going to make money might not. But if you can control that to a certain extent, make sure the market isn't over flooded with it, there's a lot of opportunity for people. But beyond that, just the benefits that people will get from taking CBD, I'm really excited to try it. One time, somebody gave me a 2-week supply of CBD oil, and I was skeptical because I like cannabis because I like to get high. So I was like, what's this stuff? It doesn't even get you high. I was like, kind of like, I could, it was a liquid, and I was drinking it, and I was like, man, this isn't getting me high. But in 2 weeks, I felt really good. I mean, I don't have any health problems, but sometimes I'm a little sluggish. I struggle a little bit with energy. And that CBD had me feeling really good every day, and it felt like I just felt clear. I felt like more alive and more energetic. I was disappointed when that 2-week supply went out. So when it becomes readily available, but I want to take Pennsylvania grown CBD, and I want to try it. Not to get high, but just for the health benefits that it seems to have. Just the overall wellness,
Sorry, Ken Walsk is here with us too, Les.
Hi, Les.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I just want to tell you what a great admirer I am of all the work you've been doing at the Keystone Cannabis Coalition there in Pennsylvania, and just really have nothing but good to say about you there, Les. It's just a wonderful job you're doing there. And
Appreciate that.
And I want to let you know you have a standing invitation to come on our CMMNJ TV show. We broadcast once a month from Princeton, so if you find that available in your schedule to come up and talk to us and sit for a 26-minute interview, we'd love to have you. Our next taping is September 6th from 10 to 2 p.m. in Princeton. So check your calendar and get back to me if that's available for you.
Could you do me a favor? Could you send me a Facebook message to remind me? Because I have so many things going on, and I know that time period is a little bit. I know that there's other things, but send me a message and let me contemplate and check my schedule and make sure I'm okay. But if we don't do it September 6th, then I definitely would love to do it sometime. I would love to come on your show, Ken.
Oh, great! Thanks, Les.
And I'm a big admirer. I'm a big admirer of everything that you've done too. You've been a class act. Everything that you've done for in your career since you've been pushing this has just been very useful. You were so knowledgeable, and I really like your approach. And I think you've done awesome work too.
Well, thank you so much, Les. That's very nice to hear. We have a wonderful coalition here, the Coalition for Medical Marijuana, New Jersey. It's not just me. I'm the executive director. Jim Miller is the president of CMMNJ, and we have a 10-member board of directors. Very, very active board of directors. We're a 501c3 nonprofit educational organization and public charity here in New Jersey, and donations to us are income tax deductible. So think about that at income tax time.
Yeah, we're with Casey's Tea. We decided to go with C4 because almost all of our work that we do is political. We've met with dozens of state senators and state reps, and that's the main thing. So we wanted to make sure that we had as few limitations on us as possible for our lobbying work.
Right.
Well, it means that the donations aren't tax deductible, so that prevents some people from donating. But on the other hand, it just really frees us up because we consider, we try to do our best for public education and so forth, but our primary objective is political in nature. So.
Yeah, well,
so we opted for the C4.
right, but you know that as a 501c3, you can attempt to influence legislation. You just cannot take part in any elections. You can't you can't favor one candidate over another in a political election. But you can attempt to influence legislation, and we certainly do that.
Right, of course,
we just there's just a money limit on how much we can do, and we're an all volunteer organization, and we have very low expenses, very low overhead, and all. So the amount we spend on influencing legislation is absolutely minimal. But at any rate, that's our designation, and I'm glad to see that you went ahead and got the 501c4 designation, Les. That's good to know.
All right. I'll tell you, you guys down in Jersey, you got to, what you guys are doing is really awesome and inspiring. I love watching Lefty's videos of all the, the ignorance is no excuse for. I tell you, I watch these videos that Lefty does, and it just, it almost makes me nervous. And I go through all kinds of emotions just watching the videos. I think, geez, that takes a lot of balls to walk into a police station and say, hey, where can I smoke this bong? Or
When you coming with us? Come on over.
Oh, geez, I piss my pants.
I promise not to get you arrested. I promise.
I've been arrested before. It's no fun. It's, it's kind of like getting bit by a dog. Once you get bit, you see a dog and you're like, I'm going to cross the street or something.
Les, let me ask you a question. You have hemp hemp law in Pennsylvania now. Are people growing hemp yet in Pennsylvania?
Not yet, but if everything works out, we might be growing at least CBD crop this year.
Really?
We're meeting with the Department of Agriculture next week, and we're presenting probably what will be considered the very first proposal to grow hemp in Pennsylvania, and it'll be grown, in a greenhouse or indoor facility. So we might be able to get that started this year. Erica is going to be working with a hemp company and a medical cannabis company. If everything works out, somebody that we've been working with is applying for a medical cannabis license, but he's really interested in establishing a hemp manufacturing facility and so forth. So there's no guarantee that this application for a license will be approved, but we're putting that in next week. Now, I'm not as excited about CBD growing. To me, that's still not hemp. It's kind of like, I want to see, I have this fascination with hemp. So I want as a fiber crop and as a seed crop, as an industrial component. That's what I want to see grown. I'm not as excited about CBD, but it is part of it. It's part of it. There's highly potent cannabis that we all love and is dear to our hearts that we know, recreational. And then there's the medical cannabis, which is exciting too. And CBD is exciting. And, but I want to see it grown for all its purposes. I want to see hemp grown as a fiber and seed crop for all the things that it can do. So nobody's grown it yet. It's going to take the Department of Agriculture several months to get the program running, to get protocol and rules and regulations. I mean, it was only signed into law by Governor Wolf on July 20th. So we're only looking at about a month that this law has since it's been signed. So it takes them a while. The Department of Ag, they're very understaffed and underfunded, and it's a little bit bigger and more complex task than what people realize. But we have confidence because the hearts are in the right place. They're working with us, and I think that by next spring, we expect, if everything works out, we're doing our best to get as many pilot projects for hemp as possible. We would like to see 2 or 3 dozen crops of hemp grown next spring in all parts of the state. And we're going to do our best for the members of, in addition to Keystone Cannabis Coalition, I'm also a board member of another organization which is called the Pennsylvania Hemp Industry Council. And the Pennsylvania Hemp Industry Council will be working with farmers to help write their proposals for research. And then hopefully, matching up farmers with interested industries so they have a market for their crop. Because the way the law is, federal and state, is a farmer can grow a crop of hemp. Like say, for example, some guy wants to build a house out of hempcrete. Well, he needs a certain amount of hemp to build that house. A farmer can grow it, and he can harvest it, and he can sell it, and that guy can make the house out of hempcrete. But that farmer has to come up with some type of research angle. He has to frame it as in, I'm doing research on this crop. So then when you're working on things, which strain is he going to grow? When did he plant? When did he harvest? Things like that. But what the Pennsylvania Hemp Industry Council is going to do is, we were talking to one guy last week. We did this 3-day event out at Penn State called Ag Progress Days. And we talked to one guy. He has 6 acres of land that is it's called a sandy loam. And he was asking me, does hemp grow in a sandy loam? And I said, I was told it would grow in anything, but that's a good research project. Let's find that out. It's on a sloping land. He's currently not cultivating that land because it's on a slope and it's a sandy loam, and he doesn't think anything will grow. So we'll say, well, let's plant that in hemp. So he wants to grow 6 acres of hemp, and we'll frame the research as will hemp grow on a sandy loam? We want to find that out. So I know I just did a long rambling answer. The question was, is anybody growing it yet? No, not yet, but they will very soon.
That was a good question, huh, Les?
Yeah. And you're also and you're also an author, Les. I have a copy of your book. What is it? Hempstone History? Is that the name of it?
Hempstone Heritage 1, and it's if everything works out right, it's the first book, but will be a series of books that illustrate the history of the hemp industry in Pennsylvania. I actually have about probably 900 pages of unpublished manuscript that goes into intricate detail, fascinating stories of the hemp industry throughout Pennsylvania. When I wrote my first book, it was kind of like a compromise between getting as much information as soon as possible to give people a good understanding and overview. I wanted to make it deep enough that people would really get a sense of how intricately, interwoven the hemp industry was with our heritage. And I think I succeeded in that. But when I tell the full story, it's going to really blow people's minds to see the details of the whole story. So if I don't, I'm never going to self-publish again, because self-publishing is hard to really make people aware of your book. And, an individual has a hard time selling a book. So I only sell a few here and there. So I need to find a publishing company that is willing to publish my, the rest of my information. And if I don't find a publishing company that's willing to put up the money, then I'll probably figure out a way that I can make my research available online for free to researchers. Because one way or the other, I need to get the rest of the story out, because my book is awesome. I recommend people go to my website for KeystoneCannabisCoalition.org, and they can find my book there and buy it. But, I'm really looking forward to telling the whole story, the rest of the story. And also, too, I'm also a historian with not only the hemp industry in Pennsylvania, but I've also done a lot of research into the history of medical cannabis and even recreational cannabis in Pennsylvania, the evolution of our laws and how everything unfolded. And that's a fascinating story in itself, because, yes, we were growing hemp all over Pennsylvania, but a lot of people don't realize that we also grew medical cannabis. And a lot of companies in Pennsylvania patented their own medical cannabis extracts and so forth. And so, it's huge. But Jersey's the same way. If I lived in Jersey, I would have, just directed my attention to the Jersey hemp industry and the Jersey medical cannabis industry. And you'll find that if you do a lot of research in Jersey, you'll find that hemp was huge in Jersey too, and medical cannabis. Every state, New York could say the same thing. New York had a big hemp industry and a big medical cannabis industry, and so did Delaware, and so did Maryland. Basically, every state could, if you really look into it, you can find. So go ahead.
All 13 counties, Les.
Yeah. I mean, it was everywhere. but there were certain areas that were, more recognized as, so like in Pennsylvania, they grew up from one end of the state to the other, but where it was grown really big on a bigger commercial scale was Lancaster and York counties. Those two counties were like the epicenter of a major hemp producing region. And there's so much history that comes out of those two counties that's just incredible, and whereas you can find all kinds of neat stuff through every part of the state, but those two counties was just seems to be a much more major industry. But yeah, Jersey has all kinds of history. It used to grow wild all over Jersey.
Are there hemp stones? Are there hemp stones in New Jersey?
I've never seen any, and so I don't know. I'm not sure. I'd love to find them. My opinion is they probably exist in a lot of places, but I think they're more common over in my part of Pennsylvania because a lot of the early settlers from this part of Pennsylvania come from Germany, and my ancestors come from Germany too. And the hemp mills that we had is particularly a German technology. They're modeled on the hemp mills that were over in Germany. So in other settlements, if the settlers were predominantly Irish or English or Welsh or something like that, their hemp mills may be different. Some of the English hemp mills employed these heavy log stampers that sort of stamp the hemp instead of a cone-shaped stone rolling over top of them. So maybe they exist mostly in Pennsylvania because, just because of the nature of, the population was mostly German in these areas where you find a lot of these hemp mills.
Wow, good stuff.
But if you ever find any, let me know. I mean, I would love to find hemp millstones. I found one. I didn't find it in person. I found it online. There's a hemp millstone in West Virginia, and there's a hemp millstone at Colonial Williamsburg in Virginia, and so I know they do exist other places. It's just finding them, and I put out the word every now and then. Say, have you ever seen one of these? And
Is that how you started?
How
did you start your search for hemp stones? You just went up to some farmer and said, "Hey, you got a hemp stone?"
Well, on the very first day that I started my research, which was March 3rd, 1997, I went in to the Landis Valley Farm Museum in Lancaster County, and they had a bunch of millstones sitting out in their yard. They weren't labeled, so you wouldn't look at them and know what they were. But in their office, they had a pamphlet, and I just grabbed one on my way out, and I took it home, and it showed silhouettes of the millstones that they had, and they showed that the cone-shaped stones were hemp millstones. And so that was the very first day of my research, 1997. I found they had 4 of them. As a matter of fact, they have one that's broken that appears to be a hemp stone. So if that is a hemp stone, then there's 5 of them, but there's 4 for sure, and possibly a 5th one that's broken. So this is the neat thing about it. So I got home and I looking at this. I'm like, wow. That was the first time I heard about a hemp stone. It's actually hemp millstone. I coined the phrase. I call it a hemp stone. It's short for hemp millstone. But I don't know if they call them hemp stones. I sort of coined the phrase. Anyway, all of a sudden I realized, well, shit, I know where there's more of these stones. Here in my hometown of Ephrata, where I was born and raised and grew up all my life, and here on Main Street, Ephrata, that was what turned out to be the world's largest collection of hemp millstones. I went up there, and they had 7 of them, and these hemp millstones were sitting behind a fence. And I went up there, and I knocked on the door, and I talked to the people and told them what they have, and I said, I think those are hemp millstones, and they said, well, wait a second. And they went in their house, and they brought out this old article from the 1970s. The lady's dad was the founder of the Cocalico Historical Society, and he collected millstones because the Cocalico Valley was famous for millstones. They call them the Cocalico stones. So he collected them. He had them sitting behind his fence, and in the newspaper article, he said that he called his hemp stones the guardian stones because he set them there to protect his children when they were playing in the yard from cars coming. So I just thought that was so cool. Well, I counted 7 of them, and I said, "Wow, you have 7 of these hemp millstones." She said, "No, 8." And she took me to a bush, and she opened up the bush, and behind the bush was this beautiful hemp stone. So they had 8 hemp millstones right in my hometown on Main Street, Ephrata. And I drove by them like almost every day of my life for like my whole life, and had no clue of what they were. So then I started finding them everywhere. I found one at the Hans Herhouse Museum, and I found dozens in private collections. And some of them I would find, like one time I was going to look for a hemp mill. The guy who owned it, his name was Peter Lichty, and I'm driving this rural country road, and I'm looking at my map, and then looking up, looking down at my map, and looking up, and I'm saying, the hemp mill should be right around here. I should be getting close to where his hemp mill was. I look up, and bam! Right there's a hemp mill stone. I was like, there it is. And, I remember another time I was driving around the road, and you know how people, like, they call pigs, they go, "Sue," whatever, So I was doing this thing. I was like, here, hempstone, 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 hempstone. And bam, another hempstone. I was like, holy shit, it worked. I called out a hempstone, So, there's all kinds of things. I was reading a book one time, and the book was written in, like, more than 100 years ago. And the book said that there was talked about this hemp mill, and this is in Cumberland County, and it said that the conical-shaped hempstone could still be found. I said to Erica, let's go up and see if we can find it. And we went up there, and sure enough, here it is on the side of a creek bed where the old hemp mill was. And so, yeah, it's really neat. It's really, so I love the hemp stone. I have two hemp millstones, and matter of fact, I wouldn't mind selling them if anybody gives me a good offer.
Where do I start my research? If you were me in New Jersey, where would you go to find a hempstone? Like, first you smoke a joint, and then where do I go?
Well, excuse me. There might be some preliminary research that I would do. You have to find out where the hemp mills were, and that's a process in itself.
Okay.
Of course, there's no guarantee that the hemp millstones would be at the location of where the old hemp mill was. In a lot of cases, that hemp mill might have crumbled. It's nothing but ruins, and the stone remained. And somebody took that stone, and it's at their house, so they could be anywhere. But it's a process. I mean, the way I discovered where the hemp mills were. First, I went to the Historical Society, and I looked at tax assessment records, because tax assessment records told you how many acres of land a person had, how many cows and sheep and horses, and what buildings they had on their land, and if they owned the mill, and if they owned the mill, what type of mill it was.
Oh, really?
And that's how I found out who owned the hemp mills. Now, it took me several weeks of 7-8 hour days of looking through microfiche records, and the tax records are weird because there's gaps in the records. Sometimes they have records for 1 year, and then you have to wait another 7 or 8 years before the next tax assessment records. Some years it's just very simple basic data, like a person paid this much tax or whatever. But when you look through them, you'll find that some years gave lots of great detail in the tax assessment records, and those are the ones that are the most useful, and those are how you can find it. Now, once you have the guy's name, you find out, Jacob Smith owned a hemp mill and a grist mill somewhere. So, then you can look in books that detail the history of mills in a certain county, and oftentimes they'll talk about Jacob Smith had his grist mill at this place, but they don't mention that Jacob Smith also had a hemp mill. Why they don't, I don't know why, but that will at least give you an idea of where Jacob Smith had his hemp mill. And then you can drive there and see if you can find, evidence of the mill dam, evidence of the mill pond, the mill race, the foundation or ruins of the mill, or maybe even a newer mill that was built on that same site. And oftentimes you'll see various millstones, and that's one way. But I would try get really, really hot and sort of like tune in with the universe and call it out. and it will reveal itself to you. At least that's what works for me. That's what seems to work with me. So I guess I do a sort of approach that is half science and half magic. I sort of like I'm kind of a mystical thinker, you know. But I don't rely on mysticism alone because that would be foolish. It's a little half science, half mysticism.
Yeah, you need some science. A little bit of science helps.
Yeah.
Well, Les, thank you so much, dude. You're so informative. I was just busting William's chops about something, and we happened to call you, and we got some really good information. So that's how it happens. It's a very organic show today, so this is good. Thank you.
Well, you called me at a perfect time because I was just about ready to smoke a bowl, and had you called a minute later, I might have been so baked, who knows what I would have said.
Oh, God.
So I'm going to hang up the phone, and I'm going to dig into that bowl that I was just about to smoke when you called.
What are you smoking on? What strain?
And somebody gave it to me. He grows it. It doesn't have a name.
That's what you all say. You all say the same thing. All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, it was great talking to
Have
you,
fun.
Les. Yeah.
Thank you. You guys. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye, Les. That guy's great. Oh, Les Stark, ladies and gentlemen, from the Keystone Cannabis Coalition.
Yeah, he's quite a guy.
Yeah, he's great. Hello, Ken Wolski. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Lefty. I have to tell you how much impressed I am with the podcast today. I mean, I'm just listening to it the last couple of times. It's you sound very professional on the air, and I'm very, very focused on what you're doing, and you really sound great. I'm very impressed with this podcast, Lefty. You've really come a long way.
Thanks. I learned from you.
Oh, well, thank
I
you.
learned it from you, man.
I don't know what I had to do about it.
No, you're very eloquent, and you've been teaching us all this stuff for years, and we have to pick up something from you after all these years. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, while I was at home listening to this podcast, I was also working on a letter in support of adding post-traumatic stress disorder as a qualifying condition to the medicinal marijuana program.
Nice.
I wrote that as a healthcare professional. I'm an RN here in New Jersey with 40 years experience, and also 40 years. Yeah, this year is my 40th year as an RN. I got my RN from Mercer County Community College in 1976, and I've been practicing ever since.
And you were in the prison system for how many years?
Oh, 22 years in
wow.
the New Jersey Department of Corrections, yes, in a variety in both the juvenile system and the adult system. And I started as a staff nurse, worked my way up to head nurse and supervisor of nurses, quality assurance specialist, quality assurance coordinator, and I ended as the health services manager in charge of the entire health services in two of the major institutions in New Jersey, East Jersey State Prison in Rahway and the Edna Mann Correctional Facility for Women in Clinton.
So you're a badass. Despite your calm demeanor and intellectual demeanor, you're a badass.
Well, I don't know about that. It was quite an experience working for
I can't
the
imagine.
Department of Corrections, and it certainly sensitized me to a lot of issues like the death penalty. I became a very firm opponent of the death penalty. I became very sensitized to the problem of women in prison, and how so many of these women are victimized by sexually abused and physically abused, and then they lash out or strike out, and what do? We punish them again. We punish the victims. So. It's really sad, the story of women in prison, and that's a story that really needs greater exploration. But it also became an opponent of mass incarceration, Lefty, while I was involved in the prison system. When I started in the prison system in 1984, there were 9,000 inmates in the entire state of New Jersey in the prison system. And when I retired in 2006, there were 27,000 inmates in the state prison system. The prison system just tripled just in the time that I was working there. The population in the prison system tripled, and when I left in 2006, 86% of those prisoners were black and Hispanic. It's just the racial disparity was just a nightmare. I first noticed that when I was working in a boys' school in Skillman, New Jersey. Boys and girls. There were 200 minimum security juveniles, and at the training school for boys in Skillman, New Jersey. And I started on a 3 to 11 shift, and about a year later, I became head nurse on the day shift. And I watched I finally got to see all the kids file past me one day when they were at a program. And I looked at them and I said, "Where are all the white kids?" 90% of the children, the teenagers there, were black and Hispanic at the time, and I knew that the juvenile system fed the adult programs, the adult system, and so I did some research and found out that the racial disparity certainly existed in the adult system too, and it really is just a disgrace. It talks about the institutional classism and the institutional racism that exists in our entire criminal justice system in New Jersey that really needs to be addressed. And one of the main ways to address this is the drug laws. The laws against marijuana. Marijuana really is a gateway, Lefty. It's a gateway to the criminal justice system. When a person gets busted for pot, it can change his whole life. And when you arrest someone's parent for marijuana offenses, that changes the dynamics of the entire nuclear family system. And it reduces the socioeconomic status of the family. It removes a loving and caring parent from the family situation. It's just terrible. So we really need to reform the drug laws here in our country and in our state. And my experiences with the DOC have really led me to believe that and to work hard for that, Lefty.
It's interesting. Tomorrow we have a secret sesh in a parking lot where the police victimize poor people all night long. From 10 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning, the police drive around this parking lot and victimize poor black people and poor white people. Now, they don't do this in the white neighborhoods or in white areas. They do it in the poor neighborhoods where it's extended stay hotels and where people can't afford to get along. Mm-hmm. And I talked to some of these people, and the black people are afraid when the police come, the black people go the other way. Now, these are people that are supposed to protect us. They're IDing people. They're checking IDs. They're checking for warrants. Just as if, like, somebody, if this guy was walking down the street right here, and if a cop comes up to him and asks him for his ID and for a warrant, you wouldn't see that in a white neighborhood, but you see it in black neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate, but that's where the resources of our criminal justice system focus. They focus on the poor communities. They focus on the minority communities. And the funny thing is, it's blacks and whites use marijuana at the same rate, and yet if you're black, you have a 3 times greater chance of being arrested for a marijuana offense in New Jersey. So it's just this disparity that really needs to be addressed, Lefty.
That is significant. Twice the rate.
3 times the rate.
That's even more significant.
Yeah.
Do I hear 4?
But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about these petitions. The petitions, of course, are the petitions that the medicinal marijuana program in the state of New Jersey, the Department of Health, is accepting right now in the month of August to add qualifying conditions to its medicinal marijuana program. So we still have time to submit these petitions to the Department of Health to add a qualifying condition. And let me tell you, just give you a little update on where we are with this petition submission process. Now, all petitions have to be postmarked by August 31st and submitted to the Department of Health. But
through certified mail?
Yes, through certified mail, exactly. And right now, the Drug Policy Alliance in New Jersey, they have an office here in Trenton. They're in the process of submitting petitions to add post-traumatic stress disorder and chronic pain as qualifying conditions. Now, I was telling Lefty that I just submitted a letter in support of their PTSD petition as a healthcare professional. Healthcare professionals can submit letters in support of this as part of the process to add qualifying conditions.
Not only can they, that greatly improves the prospects of being passed.
Well, I certainly hope so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what criteria they're going to use.
Well, it enhances the prospects. Doesn't mean they're good.
Yes,
doesn't mean they're good
right.
prospects. Right. Just better than without that sort of letter.
Yeah, we don't really know how that's going to work, and we look forward to. We hope it's going to be successful for a number of conditions.
But it'll be possibly a year, then maybe this time next year they would repeat the process.
Yes.
They,
well, I-
they will not be accepting
right,
petitions
right.
the rest of the year.
If you miss the deadline, which is coming up next week Wednesday is August 31st. If you miss that deadline for submitting a petition by getting it postmarked and sent by certified mail, you will not get another chance to submit a petition. Probably at least until next August. It may be longer than that. But it is kind of a cumbersome and bureaucratic process that the Department of Health has established. You have a month to submit the petition, and then the panel will review these petitions for 2 months and come up with recommendations that they make, and then those recommendations will be subject to a public comment period. So you will have an opportunity to discuss the petition that you submitted if you request to do so during a public comment period.
When you say public comment, is that we all get together in one place, or is that electronically commenting?
I believe that you can comment by
I mean,
telephone.
they've had a meeting at the
War Memorial.
the War Memorial, where there would be public comment. I was wondering, it would make sense to be able to face-to-face have comments from the public after they have their say. I mean, if they're going to give an indication what they're thinking in the first couple of months, do you think perhaps? I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, the problem that we had with the previous public comment periods were that, yes, they held these public comment periods, but they were not responsive to the public comments. Certainly not responsive in the way that we wanted them to be.
They would
responsive.
listen.
They would listen, and then they would.
They'd appear to listen.
And then they would, come up with reasons for disregarding your public comments.
I'm going to lie.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
I'm going to lie on my form. I'm going to put down chronic pain. And when I go in for the meeting to actually show up, I'm going to say all of the above. But I'm going to fool them and say chronic pain first. Yeah. And then when I show up, I say, nope, I was kidding, all the above. Everyone gets it.
Well, there is one for chronic pain that the Department of the DPA is submitting, and chronic pain was originally part of the medicinal marijuana bill, the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act. In 2005, when the bill was first introduced, chronic pain was a qualifying condition for any reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was when was that? In 2009. Right? In February of 2009, the Senate voted and approved that version of the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act that included chronic pain as a qualifying condition for any reason.
And then tell us what happened in the Assembly Health Committee.
Yeah, in the Assembly Health Committee, we came ready to testify in support of the bill.
We did.
And the head of the Dr. Conaway, Herb Conaway, he said that Dr. Herb
practicing
Conaway,
physician.
He said that there are some amendments to this bill, and we don't have the amendments available for you to see yet. I can tell you what they are, basically, but
I remember what he said as he got started was, we're going to take about 10 minutes of comment. And then this is what we're going to pass.
And the bill is moving on.
He said, this is what we're passing today.
Yeah.
And that was stark when it got emaciated there.
Yeah, it was really bastardized. Home cultivation was taken out of the bill. Originally patients would be allowed to grow 6 marijuana plants if they had a qualifying condition and an ID card from the Department of Health and a recommendation from their physician. They would be allowed to grow 6 marijuana plants. That was taken out of the bill. All the marijuana had to come now from these alternative treatment centers. The original alternative treatment centers were supposed to be like mom and pop kind of collective gardens. That was the original concept of it. But now they came out to be these quasi-pharmacies that are so highly regulated by the Department of Health.
I have a question about the DPA's petition for adding chronic pain. Do you think, and I think it should, include a pretty good overview of what the American Medical Association found when they looked at states that had this as an indication for getting medical marijuana, that their mortality rate due to overdosing on opioids went down 24.8% on the average, 20% in the first year in most everywhere. So while that is it's a cross-reference sort of reason that they're going to submit a petition for this, but I think it should be well known to the panel that approving it would also affect this area of something they say plagues New Jersey, the epidemic
Yeah.
rate
Yeah.
of overdose deaths due to opiates brought on by people becoming addicted during legal consumption of such opioids, and then when they can't get that increase because of current physician monitoring, they get black market. And then when they find they can't afford black market and heroin is 1/3 the price, bada boom, bada bing, there they are. This is what the health department says. So it's a chance to do that.
Yeah.
But if they don't mention it because it's not whether they think it's pertinent or not,
Well,
that has to be.
Megan Glasser from the Drug Policy Alliance did say that she would share with us the petitions that the drug policy had intended to submit prior to their submission. So,
Yeah, well, that would be an easy thing if they had as an oversight.
So we will get to take a look at it.
You know, they want letters of recommendation from physicians, and this is not a recommendation. The actual American Medical Association finding, I've read it. It is careful to say this is not attributing cause and effect to the situation, that they don't think that can be done.
Right.
But if it's the fact that has been the result across the board, and those statistics are available through the American Medical Association study, that it should be part of the review, in my opinion. But since this is being done outside the coalition, I haven't been able to confer with you or Peter about this happening. So if you should, because you're a better one to talk to them than me, simply enough, you're a clinician and I'm not. And, you know.
Yeah, well, first of all, I do have to bring you up to date on my submission. I personally submitted a petition to the Department of Health on osteoarthritis.
And what is that?
Osteoarthritis is it's a chronic degenerative disease that is incurable, that generally attacks older people, and it's characterized by pain and stiffness and swelling of the joints, degeneration of the joints, between the bones, basically.
How does cannabis help that?
Well, it helps it in a number of ways. It helps it first of all, it helps it to helps with the chronic pain that's associated with it. And in that submission, I also put in a reference to the amount of harm that is being avoided by in states where marijuana is allowed as a chronic pain substitute or alternative. So and it helps in other ways too, Jim. It helps it helps to create a mood for therapy. So many people say that.
I know exactly what you mean.
Like suddenly, if you're involved in the day-to-day cares of the world and going out and making money, you may find that you never have time to engage in the therapeutic benefits of a nice hot Epsom salts bath. But if you use marijuana, then suddenly you find that you're removed from the day-to-day cares and the achievement that's generally associated with our society, and more attuned to kind of spiritual things and your own physical health, and you have a different way of looking at the world.
Do.
With when you use marijuana, and that it really does contribute to a therapeutic kind of milieu. So many patients report this, and I reported this to the Department of Health as part of my petition. In addition to its obvious pain controlling aspects. And when you look at the dangers that comes from analgesics and the simple, over-the-counter acetaminophen, which is the main ingredient in Tylenol, and it's also an ingredient in many of the prescription drugs. Acetaminophen is the leading cause of liver failure in the United States.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, a simple thing like Tylenol, you think, well, that can't be harmful. You don't even need a prescription to buy it. Oh yeah, guess what? It's very harmful. And here we have an alternative in marijuana therapy that avoids involvement in the liver when it's inhaled. And at any rate, it does pass through the liver, when it's in an edible form, but it's not associated with liver damage. And of course, marijuana is also a strong anti-inflammatory. So,
all these are good for say what this is that you submitted?
Osteoarthritis, Jim,
okay.
basically an arthritis condition, but there's a number of different arthritic conditions. Some are, for example, rheumatoid arthritis or traumatic arthritis.
Yeah.
But, osteoarthritis is just what old people get. It results, how your fingers
When you say
look
old, where does that start?
Well, the funny thing is, I mentioned.
What do we mean by old?
I mentioned in here that I have my first documented evidence of osteoarthritis starting at age 30. When I was 30 years old, Jim, I was walking down the street and suddenly I noticed a really sharp pain in my foot, and I said, "My God, what did I do? Did I have some kind of stress fracture? I mean, nothing fell on my foot, or I didn't kick anything." And yet I had this continuous sharp pain in my right foot, and I was 30 years old. I went to a doctor, and I said, "Did I break a bone here somehow?" And so he did X-rays, and the X-rays came back negative for fracture, and they came back, and all it showed was arthritic changes in my foot.
Really?
And
at 30.
And actually, at the time, I was glad to hear that, because I knew what to do for arthritis. As a registered nurse, I knew that the worst thing to do is to stop using my foot, and to guard the injury, because if you stop using it, if you stop using the mobility in the affected part, it only gets worse. So at that point, I just knew that I needed to continue to do what I was doing, to be active, to work through the pain, and for the most part, I have through the ensuing 37 years since I was 30 years old, I'm now 67. My arthritis has just expanded throughout my body, and it's only gotten worse to the point where now I'm in not constant pain, but I have daily pain. I definitely have daily pain, and I have to do physical therapy twice a day, every day, and I do hydrotherapy, which is essentially hot showers at least twice a day, and I take.
Is this on professional advice?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
But you do this at your own home?
Well, I started with physical therapy at Hamilton Physical Therapy. I've gone through numerous sessions there. And, they taught me the physical therapy, so I do the physical therapy at home.
Now, when you go there, how many other people might be getting therapy at the same time as you?
At Hamilton?
Yeah. Because I've been in therapy myself, and there's
maybe
there's
10,
a few other people there.
Sure.
Yeah, I was noticed when I got therapy for my extremely catastrophically broken feet that you're aware of, and when I went for their regimen of therapy, by about the fourth time there, they noticed that it was as if everybody else was sentenced to therapy, and they came in with their heads down, and they didn't like that they had to be there. And I came in, let's get it going.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because I was gung-ho on getting better. It's because for my therapy, I would consume cannabis in the parking lot illegally right before going in, so that when I got on the bike and the pain I would feel, it would allow my therapy better. But it was, what they noticed was, one day there was an older lady on a bicycle next to me, and they put me on the bike, and we're both pedaling, and she was already warmed up and going at pretty good speed. So I kind of hunched over and looked at her, and then looked straight ahead, and I looked back at her and straight ahead, and I started going faster. And then I'd look at her, and I started going faster. And then she looked over at me, and she smiled and started going faster. And we had this race to nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's when I got noticed for having a really good attitude. And they went on to explain to me how somebody with an attitude like that will get so much more out of physical therapy. And then I was open with them. I didn't say out in the parking lot. I told them why that was, and individually they were fully supportive. So
yeah, well,
it should be legitimized.
That's a good point, Jim. That sometimes people do need a painkiller, before they can even engage in physical
Yeah,
therapy.
and when that painkiller gives you what they call a euphoric feeling, it's basically it's almost an acceptance with a smile of this is what I have to do, and it's really not that bad. And you start thinking of the good things rather than the trash.
Sure, absolutely. A
And
positive
realizing
attitude,
this
right?
is- yeah,
right. It
and-
does establish a positive attitude, and that is so important in maintaining a successful outcome to
That
therapy.
it should be considered a negative side effect by those who would want to prohibit this from happening, as if that's a negative side effect. It should always be considered that attitude plays a part in your recovery. It gives you an established advantage.
Right.
So it would be it'd be interesting. Did you have any letters from somebody that would be from the clinical field in your application?
Well, the interesting thing is that I actually I ran into an old friend of mine, and not an old friend of mine, but an old teammate of mine from the West End Little League here in Trenton, New Jersey, a fellow by the name of Scott Gordon, who was a tremendous athlete, just a tremendous athlete. He could have been a major league ball player, except that he hurt his shoulder just before he was ready to go to the majors. And he was very athletic all his life until osteoarthritis struck him, and in his 40s. And his osteoarthritis was so bad that he endured numerous surgeries. He had hips replaced, he had knees replaced, he had shoulders
serious
replaced.
stuff.
Yeah. So actually, he agreed to submit the petition under his name. So the petition for osteoarthritis is going under the name of Scott Gordon, and I, as a medical professional, have written one letter in support of this condition, detailing both my personal and my professional experiences with osteoarthritis in support of Scott Gordon's petition. So we'll see. We certainly hope that the medicinal marijuana program will approve it. There's still time. I'd like to get this in the mail by tomorrow, and I don't want to let it go to the last minute.
No, but you want to make sure you don't go, oh, you know what, I could have added.
Yeah,
after,
right.
after, you
So,
know.
so
I
if
mean,
there's
maybe-
anything that I can add by
How
tomorrow,
about 1 day's grace where, you know, give it, but don't give it more than that. Do you know anybody from the Association for Reform Organizations list that we may have forgot that would be able to write a pertinent
well, I did reach
support.
out to them earlier, and,
Yeah.
and quite frankly, I didn't get a response from
That's
them.
amazing.
So,
well, it's not so amazing.
yeah. So, and I reached out to a number of people, physicians and PhD researchers, and I just have not gotten the kind of response that I was hoping to get. I was hoping that the Department of Health would be flooded with these petitions. But it doesn't look like it's going to be that way. I right now, the petitions that I know can be counted on two hands. Mine, the two from the Drug Policy Alliance. We have Bob Kane, who submitted two petitions, one for anxiety, because he suffers from anxiety and takes medicine for that, and he wants to take a safer alternative, cannabis. And he also submitted one for migraine headaches, because he also suffers from migraines. So, and he got his doctor, his personal physician, to write a couple of letters, in support of his petitions.
That's pretty important.
Yeah. So we certainly hope that the health department will look, with less than a jaundiced eye on these petitions. I know Governor Christie sort of belittled the fact that people could use marijuana for headaches.
Yeah,
but
totally
he just doesn't realize how debilitating a migraine headache can be, and how effective marijuana can be, not only in preventing these headaches in migraine sufferers, but in interrupting the headaches for some migraine sufferers. And then we have Peter Rosenfeld, and now what was Peter's? Remind me, Jim, if you will. Peter was neuropathic pain was the one Peter was submitting.
That's right.
And then Vanessa Waltz from New Mexico. She is submitting a petition to add autism as a qualifying condition. So we have it's a start. I think we both overestimated how, when finally, after all these years, the petition process did begin, how it would work out. But we're going to be around next year too. Yeah. And between now and then, our learning curve needs to grow, which it will.
on the process as we see it unfold this year. That we can then, of course, ask and hopefully get an answer. Why was this turned down? And they can be more specific, lack of this or lack of that.
Right.
And then we have the better part of the rest of that year to see if we can resubmit with the information they say that it was lacking the first time around. And also reach out earlier once we see how the process actually unfolds. To others, and see if we can make it more inclusive the second time around.
Yeah.
That's what we do, and we don't have our sign today. The Coalition for Medical Marijuana sign. I keep looking over and seeing we look a little naked here. It always looks so good in the background.
So that wound up at the Stone Pony. And
I haven't got together with Amanda or Eric about
Amanda,
getting it back. That was my bad. I was supposed to be the one that made that move.
Oh, really?
And I just let it become Thursday without any real background thought about it this week. I had other things going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, boy, there was quite a crowd at the Stone Pony for the Slightly Stupid show. I saw aerial photos of it. There were thousands of people there at the outdoor stage. And we made a couple $100.
That's really, if anybody would understand, by our standards, making a couple $100 is an extremely successful outing.
Well, absolutely.
Because it involves having people go to hear a Slightly Stupid concert who, they're really very good. I didn't know much about them until the first time we tabled, and I looked them up, and I really like them.
Yeah, I was there last year. Yeah, they were quite good.
So it's a pleasant way to make money. We reach the right kind of people, and hopefully there's benefits from being there beyond the money that we just don't see. Where paths cross. Maybe somebody looks into it a little further, or somebody that they know has something that medical marijuana might help, and now they say, hey, the Coalition for Medical Marijuana, because they were there. And
right. Yeah, no, we gave away a lot of literature too, of course, and
that's good. Then that's a good reason to not have our mainstay sign here.
Right. So we'll have to get in touch with Eric or Amanda and get it back. It certainly was a tragedy about Joanne Zito's husband.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, well, the suddenness of it.
Yeah.
And
the little fundraiser that Karen's got going for them. Karen is doing a little auction for an iPhone, so you get to have you buy tickets, and I believe it's $10 a piece, and you get to get a chance on an iPhone, and all the profits would go to the Joanne's
actually,
family.
I can't remember the numbers for the price, but it was for one ticket, it might have been $5 or something, but you get 5 for 10. In other words, you get 5 times as many. The prices are encouraged to give everybody more than one chance to win.
Right.
To where it's like good marketing. You buy a small box of something, and then you get the large one, and look how much money you save.
Right.
So it's along that, but I can't even imagine the suddenness that life can take a turn.
Yeah.
And the finality,
absolutely.
and we're all close. We're kind of like a sort of a extended family at times. And
so we certainly offer our condolences to Joanne Zito and her family, her lovely family, and
board member extraordinaire of the coalition.
Yeah, if there's anything that we can do, we certainly would want to do it for them.
Yeah. Yeah, very sad. And Lefty was explaining how this was a time in life where there were certain restrictions being removed from Joanne's husband's life, where he could kind of enjoy things a little more.
Oh, yeah.
In a legal sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And but then use it as a reminder. Use the time you have to do the things you feel need to be done. I don't have a life insurance policy of my own, so I'm going to be a burden to somebody when I die. But what I do have is I have my own personal insurance policy for when I die. I will not be wishing I'd done more or wasn't afraid to do something. And I encourage people to take part when they can, when they have any passion at all for something. And so that if you feel that you would like to help somebody like Joanne, even though you don't know her, if it moves you, that even a $10 donation would be something you'll feel content with some point in your own life when you would actually reach out to help somebody you didn't know well, because you can. And I would like to think that some good things are in store to balance that out a little, if that can even be done. But she does also like that we show. She shows up here a lot, usually at the end of whatever you're doing, which is a standing joke. But
well, she lives 2 hours away, too.
I know.
You know, I'm surprised that she comes down at all, quite frankly. You know.
I am as well. And the fact that she'll stop by in the last 5 minutes of something shows Joanne's a trooper. She'll come on a 2-hour drive and get there with 5 minutes to go, and you know, and
well, and she came to our last CMMNJ meeting at the Lawrence Township Library, and they go on from 7 to 9, and she got there about 8:30. You know,
there you go.
But you know, it was enough to give a report on all the things she was doing, which is many, many things, and to make a contribution of the, you know, for the fundraising that she had done, you know, basically on her own in Philadelphia during the DNC convention. And of course, you know, we have our next meeting at CMMNJ coming up in the second week in September, September 13th, at the Lawrence Township Library from 7 to 9 p.m. And of course, the public's invited to that and welcome to come and keep on top of everything that's going on, and you know, meet the members of the Coalition for Medical Marijuana in New Jersey.
Ask any questions you might have. You get to
Right.
take part, or you can just sit there and watch. And
Talk
listen.
about why you came, or
It's a couple of
right.
fistfuls of people, maybe a dozen
Right.
people. It's
Exactly.
And we do have a format to follow, but it's really, really loose. We digress a lot in different directions, and Ken brings us back to where we're supposed to be. That's why we have Ken. And when he doesn't show up, the wheels are off from the beginning.
No, I heard you did a very good job in running the
Yeah.
meeting when I was out of town for some reason.
It got done, but it was kind of comical. Ken, I don't know.
Well, at any
I
rate,
know
no,
I
yeah,
should know.
You know, I attribute that to my experience at Carrier Clinic when I was a psychiatric nurse and running groups for psychiatric patients. You know,
Really?
well, there is an amazing amount of energy and knowledge in these groups, is what I found out, and that you know, allowing the group to express itself, you know, however they are comfortable with giving whatever information that they want to give, really is the key, I think, to having successful meetings. Aside from having an agenda and trying to stick to it. But really, you know, exploiting the talents and the energies and the excitement of the people who show up.
We got the podcast sign that we have from somebody showed up just to see what it was like, and came here and donated that, and just don't have the sativacross.com on it, though. Darn it.
We're working on that.
We're going to work on it. Well, I'll just tape it below it. You know?
In 2 weeks, guys, there's the national prison strike for decarcerate the Garden State.
What do you mean prison strike?
There is a New Jersey solidarity action planned in Camden, Highland Park, Newark, Trenton, and college campuses everywhere for decarcerate the NewJersey.org. Bob Watonic, you guys know him.
Sure.
We want to end the drug war, pretty much. And they're having a event here in Trenton on that day, and we're going to help them with our podcast as much as we can. Here we go. On April 1st, a group of prisoners from Ohio, Alabama, Virginia, and Mississippi called for a nationally coordinated prisoner work stoppage against prison slavery to take place on September 9th, the 45th anniversary of the Attica prison riot. We will not only demand the end to prison slavery, we will end it ourselves by ceasing to be slaves, the announcement reads. They cannot run these facilities without us. In New Jersey, we have the worst disparity in the nation between the likelihood of black residents to end up incarcerated versus white residents, a 12-to-1 ratio.
Worst in the nation, did you say?
It says that worst in the nation, yes. That's what it says here.
That's a dubious distinction.
Decarcerate the Garden State has called upon analysis of the county prosecutors and courts, as well as local and state police, to determine any contribution these government criminal justice agencies make to this statistic in New Jersey, and to also provide immediate sentence relief. sentence commutation relief for those in New Jersey prisons and jails whose incarceration is in part due to such contribution by government officials, officers, and offices. On September 9th, there were events around New Jersey expressing solidarity, the strike of the enslaved incarcerated. Wow. They are demanding freedom for all political prisoners, 50% reduction in New Jersey prisons and jails, improved conditions in New Jersey facilities. This is something. So there's going to be leafletting, and rallying. Leafletting and rallying outside the Camden County Superior Courthouse and here on that day, on Friday, and we'll also be broadcasting that on the podcast Thursday. So we'll have some people on.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. You know, like we were talking about earlier, Lefty, I worked in the prison system for 22 years, and the last thing I would want to see is unrest in the prison system. And you know, I don't think that it's right to encourage prison strike. I think that the goals that they want are worthy goals, and for people who are outside the prison system, I think that that's worthy things to fight for and to work for. You know, but at the same time, I personally would not want to take part in encouraging any kind of unrest in the prison system, only because I know so many people who work there, and I don't know that there would be that would be an effective way to deal with the issue.
I hope they're not asking for unrest. I believe they're just going to have a work stoppage. Let's go. Let's see here.
What's the title of that? Just scroll up. National Prison Strike. Yeah. You know, I feel uncomfortable endorsing that. I really do. Yeah, the prison strike. I think that the call needs to come from, as we're doing now, people outside the prison system. I'm no longer associated with the prison system, but you know, I have a great deal of respect for that system. And New Jersey has probably the best Department of Corrections in the entire country. Now, I studied this very closely when I was in the DOC, and you know, our prison system really is you know, I mean, there are things that can be improved, but we are one of the best departments of correction in the entire United States, by several metrics at any rate. So, you know, in terms of, you know, our health care, the training and the equipment that we give to the people who work there.
That guy at the Burlington County Jail that the weed man was supporting that died.
Well, no, wait a minute.
He might not agree.
Burlington County, now that's part of the county system.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the county departments of corrections.
Okay.
Counties are a whole different entity than the State Department of Corrections. So yes, you know, each county has its own jail, but if you're sentenced to more than a year in prison, then if you're sentenced to more than a year of incarceration, you do no longer belong in the county system. Then you're transferred to the state prison system. So I can speak with authority about the state prison system, but not the county systems.
Okay,
because
interesting.
each 21 counties in New Jersey, they all have their own different lockups, and just as Trenton, you know, municipal Trenton has its own lockup, you know.
Well,
so
actually, Burlington County doesn't have a lockup for women. That's why our friend Colleen is in Atlantic County Detention at Mays Landing, which is actually a privately run facility, and they do have.
It is a privately run
yeah,
facility.
and
How about that?
they do have problems there. The one that bothered me was that for a long time, apparently there was a woman there who was of diminished capacity and did not belong in the general population, and yet was there, you know, where she'd wave hi with enthusiasm like a child at everybody, and other things.
Yeah,
But
sure.
you know, I'm hearing what you're saying, and using our friend Colleen, whom I'm proud to call my friend.
Oh, no, I'm just proud to call Colleen my friend as well.
That she is awaiting her disposition of a separate charge now, while she's there, realizing that being in state prison is going to be far better. She doesn't even get reading material there. She does not get reading material.
So many people say that, you know, who came from the counties into the state prison system. You know, there are just far more resources, even though many of the resources were were diminished in the state prison system when the explosion of inmates happened between '84 and 2006. So much of the rehabilitation services and educational programs were dropped in favor of the just to deal with this onrush of inmates coming in.
At the William Gormley Detention Center, as it's called, what you get to read is the Atlantic City Press. Is that the right name of that newspaper? That's all you have to read. There are no books. There's no magazines in her waiting period.
Mm-hmm.
So there certainly could be lots of reforms made there.
Yeah.
But with what you're saying, and I'm trying to take it all in. How do we?
Was Bill Caruso walking by? One of the leaders of New
Mr.
Jersey
Bill
United
Caruso.
for marijuana reform.
He's right alongside being in the House here.
We hope he's going to sign it. He
He
hasn't signed it yet.
We have our table ready there.
We got his table ready. We got a pen out there.
We gave up a chair to that table here today. We hope we have a shot.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
So, this would be kind of a good discussion with Bob, actually. Now, how do we proceed with this,
Bob.
Lefty?
Yeah.
We're giving Bob ample time here, but...
Bob Witanick, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
How do you say his name?
Bob Witanick.
Botanic? Okay,
like
Botanic.
Titanic.
Botanic.
Titanic.
Yeah, I want to know more about this.
Yeah, because
I certainly
glad.
support leafleting outside of courthouses to bring attention to the issue and to instruct potential jurors about jury nullification. I think these are all very good things to do.
But
And
you're
to
against
raise
this.
awareness.
You don't want this.
Sounds like Al Pacino to me.
All right, yeah, we don't want that.
No,
we don't want that.
I can't endorse that. It's
Me
too
neither.
too likely to result in violence.
if you
Unfortunately,
can't-
we don't want
I
that.
think.
And if you can't endorse it, then simply by proxy. This is one of these, I point at Ken and say what he says.
Yeah.
What he said.
Yeah.
Because he's certainly the one that would know, having worked in the state system. So, I think maybe we need to be distant from that, probably.
Well, we need to talk more about this and
Well,
get more
we need
information.
to talk about it.
and-
Yeah. To find out exactly what it is. I would not endorse any prison strike. No.
Okay.
I think that it has too great a potential for people to get hurt.
And
Both
can I-
prisoners, inmates get hurt, and staff get hurt. And I don't want to see
yeah.
any of that.
And can I tell
don't
you
either.
something about the sound of prison strike? To a lot of people, is going to be, what are you talking about? We don't care about somebody striking in prison. You don't get to do
Yeah.
that. You're in prison. You're not there to have strikes, boy.
Well, what do they consider a strike? Just not working?
Well, I mean,
Or-
I'm just saying.
I don't know.
A work stoppage, yes. Any kind of work
soundbite,
stoppage would be.
People are going to hear that and dismiss it just because it doesn't sound like something that should be happening because, what's next? A union for prisoners? They can join the prisoner
Yeah,
union.
yeah.
Not that wouldn't be a bad idea, but they're not supposed to have bargaining power.
Right. But
In
that's not
everybody's
to
eyes,
say
that's
that
not me.
we shouldn't draw attention to the exploitation of prisoners too in the
let's
work.
do that.
Let's do that.
I would do
Because
that.
there is built-in abuse in a system where you think, well, they're prisoners, they need to go through what they need to go through. But then that's ripe for abuse, and we certainly do need to point that out. I mean, I don't know if you remember the November Coalition, but forever they've been really keeping an eye on prisoner abuse and things that need to be improved. And quite frankly, the way it is, as we know, with the people who are in prison, there are so many non-violent offenses, and they turn out people that are far more violent when they get out than when they went in.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, Jim. Very few people come out of prison a better person. Trust me.
Ever. And so, we can certainly support lessening the population, especially
That's the key, I think.
non-violent
I
offenses.
think that's the key.
And-
is
and I-
lessening
and
the
I-
population. We're doing exactly what we're doing.
And I also agree
Yeah.
with jury nullification because it takes out the need for that step where that would be successful, that to back it all the way up to a jury saying, you know what, why should we do this to this person when it's obviously so wrong it might be undone later anyway by a more common, sane policy. So I agree with people understanding what jury nullification is, although
Right.
You're a lot more likely to get in trouble for trying to do that at someone's trial than anything else. As we know from
Yeah, some people have been arrested for jury tampering, is what they call it, right?
came,
rather
I came
than-
very, very close at Ed Fortune's trial 4.5 years ago.
Right,
I
right.
came close. They confiscated my sign because I simply had not and guilty in bolder letters in Ed Fortune as a medical marijuana patient, not a guilty criminal.
Luckily
and not and guilty were really in large letters. So
Luckily, you had a lot of backup signs.
yeah, I did. That was funny. It was, well, first they said you can't have it, and I went and traded it for another one. Then they came out and said we have to confiscate it. So I said it's back in my car, and they accompanied me to the parking lot to where I opened it, and I had a trunk full of signs. And I'm like, so what about this one? What about this one? And we agreed on something I thought was far more to the point. It simply said, what do you say to unjust law? Well, that's, unjust law is synonymous with Martin Luther King, that you disobey unjust law with, And so basically it's as if to say this is an unjust law,
Right.
jury nullification, but yeah, and I think that was actually all because of an article in the Courier Post where I can picture his name. Paul Mulshine wrote a piece about that, about my sign, saying he heard a conversation between two people. Said, "Oh, look how clever it is! He put not and guilty together there." So the conversation with then it was centered around, well, why are you at this particular spot? And I go, because it's in between the parking lot and the door. And they go, but that's where the jury parks. I guess where everybody parks. I can't help that, and I have a right to be here. No, it's not about the jury. I'll say that with a straight face, guys. And then at one point, I went back into where their office was, right next to the courtroom that Ed was in, and asked, "Who do I see about getting reimbursement for $1.25 for the poster board that they took?" And they looked actually almost scared for a second. I said, "I'm only yanking your chain."
But, we certainly support Ed Fortune, New Jersey Weed Man's attempt at jury nullification in his ongoing trial, against the city of Trenton, or the city of Trenton.
Well, the news this week was that he turned down a plea agreement.
Right. So he wants to take it to trial, and he wants to argue jury nullification. He thinks that there is not a jury in Trenton who will convict him.
Did you hear that what the plea terms were? From
7 years?
7 years, 3.5 in prison.
Where's the other 3.5? 7 years and you get
Probation.
out in 3.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the average length of sentence for a prisoner in New Jersey is 4 years, just about 4 years.
But Chris Christie says people aren't going to jail for cannabis. Doesn't he say that?
Cannabis is a gateway to the criminal justice system.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That's what it is.
Absolutely is.
So,
Oh, well.
Got my fingers crossed still. I'm 64 and still crossing my fingers.
Well, I want to thank our sponsors for a great show. MagicalButter.com makes your recipes better. Want to sing it, Jim?
No, I don't have the lyrics in front of me.
Magical
Ken's got
butter
my
makes your recipes better.
better.
Magical butter makes your recipes
So
better.
much better.
Come on, Ken.
All right, I'm leaving.
Recipes better. Be dialing.
This song gets stuck in my head every time.
Be touching that smartphone. 1-800-424-3334. 1-800-424-3334. At the touch of a button, enjoy great tasting healthy foods or make natural skincare products.
Stainless steel. You cannot stain it.
Or pet food.
Pet food. You can make pet food with this?
Yes.
Have you tried?
No, I haven't.
Sounds like fun.
But I think it's under much more.
All right. Much, much more. That would be under much, much more.
That'd be good for an aging pet.
Much, much more.
Can you make smoothies?
You can make brownies, cookies, smoothies, sauces, soups, veggies, candies, and salad dressings.
Oil?
Salad dressing.
What kind of oil is sunflower? You
Sunflower, coconut, sunflower, grapeseed, avocado.
Grapeseed oil.
Yeah.
Never heard of such a thing.
Peanut, corn, olive oil. This machine's the best. Eat to treat, Jim. Eat to treat.
And I gotta gotta tell you, it's this song. It gets stuck in my head.
No. I know. What about you, Ken? Do you know the song? You ever listen to
I'm doing a slow salsa over here, trying not
Well,
to.
Ken's a jazz guy. I know he listens to jazz, and there's a lot of horns in this. These horn guys
Horns,
don't,
jazz, 1 degree of separation.
well, they
there.
don't get a break. These horn guys are not getting a break in the song.
Bluegrass.
they took a break. It's a
bluegrass,
recording,
country
yeah.
music.
You like bluegrass?
Yeah, old 60s tunes.
Yeah, man.
Cha-cha's before my time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cha-cha-cha. Wait, you're Polish, right?
No, actually,
No?
I'm not.
You're
I
not?
found out late in life that I was mostly Lithuanian and Ukrainian.
Whoa, wait, stop the
Very-
music.
very
Stop
s-
the wait, stop the music. Wait a minute.
After being insulted all through grammar school for being Polish.
You had to come back. I'm not Polish, I'm Lithuanian.
Calling
you
back all your old
dope.
friends, Facebooking them from grammar school.
Nobody knows Lithuanian jokes.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
Did you hear about the 2 Lithuanians?
Yeah.
Walk into a bar.
Well, I can't complain. I gave it as well as I got it.
Yeah.
I bet you did.
I'll bet.
Damn, I can't call you a Polak no more. I'm Polish.
You're
I thought
Polish.
we had something together. Now we don't. So
Just maybe one quarter Polish. I think. I'm not certain.
There you go.
One quarter Ukrainian, two quarters Lithuanian, and one, as far as I know, Hungarian.
wow. Okay.
How do we test that?
Ancestry.com.
It all depends on when you're talking about. The borders there shifted quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We know all about borders.
Poland didn't even exist for a period of time. What brought that up?
I've lost my train of thought when you said you're not Polish. I'm like, whoa, wow, jeez, you lost me. Well, anyway, get your magical butter machine from magicalbutter.com. Also, we have our other sponsor, Blue Planet Biotech. They're going to send us some vape pens, CBD vape pens. We'll try them out soon. We also have medical-freedom.com, William Haney's company, for his State of Compassion flags. And stay tuned for William's mother's book, Joan Ford's book called The Falling Sickness, coming out soon. I'm excited for that book, man. I'm so excited for you.
Been hearing about it for a long time.
Yeah.
It's almost here.
It's happening.
Looking forward to it.
I'm excited about it also.
You don't sound excited.
I might not be sounding excited.
You need to sound more excited.
I might not sound excited while I'm saying I might not sound.
You know?
Okay.
Anyway, no,
We love that you did this.
I know, it's
William.
funny.
You
This
should
is-
hear him
this
when
is-
you should hear him when he's not excited.
Oh, man.
that's funny.
That's good. All right, so yeah, medical-freedom.com. Get your State of Compassion flags. Sativa and Indica flags. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your commercial, William.
Well, thank you very much for the plug. It sounds better when you promote than when I do. If I promote another product, that's good. But if I try to promote mine and you're overlapping,
Lefty
that's not
sa-
good.
and Lefty
I'm
sounds
just
excited.
saying.
I'm just saying.
Lefty actually sounds excited about it.
I'm just saying.
Lefty, you do a great job. man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just.
Thank you for your support.
Oh, dude. If it sucked, I wouldn't support it. Believe me.
I can.
I'm just
I can.
saying. It's good stuff, man.
I can
it's,
relate.
It's stuff that if you can bring a tear to my eye. Oh, geez, I'm a tough
What's that?
dude.
What's that?
It's,
We're
come
going to
on.
preserve Mom's legacy. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's more than that to me. It's getting that story out there to people
Oh,
that need to
yeah.
know what's going on in this country.
Well, what was going on and what's still is
It's still
probably
going on.
borderline now.
Come on.
I don't know.
It's still happening. Because you think you have Barack Obama in the White House, you think racism is gone. I'm going to a parking lot tomorrow where they pull over black people left and right. Left and right. If you're black, they're scared of the police. If you're
Go
black,
straight.
they're scared.
Where are you going?
I can't tell you yet because it's a secret sesh. But Jim has a story about this
But
too.
we want everybody to come.
But we want people to come. If you're a patient, you can come.
Well,
I'll
what
send
you
an
need to
invite.
do is tell them to tune in tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be podcasting.
Promote
from,
yourself
from the
while you're
parks. Thank you. We'll be podcasting from the parking lot.
How do they tune into your podcast?
SativaCross.com.
Well, how would they be hearing it if they didn't know?
Yeah,
Never mind.
you know. Go to my Facebook page. It'll be up there.
Well, if they're listening to me ask this, then they already know how to tune
But
in.
Ken, this is the deal. There's a parking lot where they do this. They have a drug war where they scare black people, and where I don't feel protected. And they ruin families. They check for warrants. They check for IDs. They don't do this in white neighborhoods, but they check warrants and IDs. Like
Some inner
it's
city in New
crazy.
Jersey. Yeah.
So I walked up to the cops and I saw what they were doing. They lied. They said these kids threw something, which they didn't. And I watched the cops lie and then have these kids out of the car, search their car, just like they did to me 20 years ago. So we're going to go there with our cameras and our cannabis. And we're going to see what happens.
All right. No,
With
good
the
luck.
podcast. It'll be live on the internet. You'll see it. You can watch
Okay.
it live. It'll be epic, Ken. Epic.
Tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night. 10 o'clock till 4 in the morning.
Oh, my God.
We're going all in, Ken.
Oh.
Listen, this hotel, motel, whatever, it's seedy. It's seedy. So,
Yeah, you said enough.
yeah. So,
Enough said.
hey, we can come anytime. We can come there anytime. They should be prepared for us. They better be prepared for us. Well, they need to be ready for us. They need to end this drug war. The drug war is stupid. It's dumb. It's racist in its origin.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and it's still racist. And from what I understand, there's a lot of Nazis that join police departments. From what I've heard this from Ann and Alan. They had an FBI report about police departments recruiting Nazis and skinheads. Yeah. Yeah.
So we get to watch you live tomorrow.
Live on the internet.
What time?
10 o'clock at night it'll start. Till 4 in the morning.
What time will you start podcasting before that?
10. 10
At
o'clock.
10?
Yeah, that's when it starts. Usually that's when whenever we see action, we'll start podcasting.
Okay.
So if something happens before that, we'll illuminate that too.
You'll be my entertainment for Friday night.
It'll be fun.
Good.
Hopefully.
No commercials either.
No commercials.
And this is
Not
going
till
to
the
be
end.
live.
Not till the end. But you're in the middle of a commercial now, and this for yourself
Yeah.
as well.
This will be epic though. This is how the drug war ends, guys.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something. When we're smoking our cannabis and they're doing an investigation, and I'm smoking my cannabis, and they bring a canine dog, that canine dog's gonna be looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing smoking a joint when I'm trying to do my job?"
Ken, the dog's going to alert to something else. Start scratching on your pockets, your wallet. You know.
It should be fun.
And at that moment, you'll produce your medical card.
Well, yeah, and they'll spend a lot of time and effort checking me for cards while rapes and murders are happening all over that town. It's like ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I agree with all that.
And I want to show the ridiculousness and hypocrisy of the drug war. And how I have white privilege.
Ooh.
I will have white privilege because I have a cannabis card. I'm rich enough and white enough to have a cannabis card. And the people that they're pulling over are black. And they will not have cannabis cards. And they'll be yanked out of their car and thrown on the ground. And I'll be sitting there smoking a joint talking about white privilege. How crazy is that going to be? I shouldn't have to make these kind of videos.
Yeah,
It's stupid.
I see the
It's
bizarreness,
stupid.
and I agree. I agree.
Black people are afraid of the police. That shouldn't be that way. What century is this?
This is the 21st century.
And we're still afraid.
Pop quiz.
Pop quiz.
You did good. You may stay. You passed. It's an ejector seat when you get it wrong, man.
God.
You're gone.
What century is this?
Yeah. Anyway, we gotta give the rest of
That's
our
funny.
any shout outs because
Good stuff.
we're
Yeah,
past the 2
let's get
o'clock hour
going.
now.
CMMNJ.org, the Coalition for Medical Marijuana in New Jersey. The whole reason we can smoke cannabis where Dan Brady's sitting. Woohoo! Thank you, CMMNJ. NewJerseyWeedman.com, Legalize for Lorelei, JacksonStorms.com, DavidVersusAutism.org, SativaCross.com. Jackson Storms is an American refugee, so is Vivian, so is Sarah, so is Claudia, so is Diane, and we're sick of hearing that term also. American refugee should not exist in America. But we have them.
And they all have families that are refugees with them,
Yeah.
those that you mentioned.
And the list that I hate, we had to add a new name to the list. Our good friend Joanne lost her husband Jeremy, and he was on probation for growing a plant. For 4 years, his life was ruined for probation. Yeah.
One plant?
One plant.
It was horrible what they did to him. They victimized Jeremy. So for 4 years, he could not smoke. He could not medicate. He lost his freedom
When was his probation due to end?
in February.
February.
After 4 years, it was finally, he was getting to the light of the tunnel.
Yeah, you could see the light then.
Yeah. And they introduced him to me for the first time. They said, okay, you're getting close to the end of the tunnel where you can get probation all over with, and you can meet Lefty now. And We're going to break you in slowly with Lefty.
But it altered his life, and he didn't get to.
He never got to that
outlive his
end.
Probation.
Never got there.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible.
Well, we include him in the remembrance part.
He will be in there because he's still waiting.
Yeah.
He will be still waiting. And it's this list sucks, man.
Yep.
I don't know. So yeah, Jeremy, we're very sorry. And Joanne, we're sorry. And Maris, and Quinlan, sorry to the whole family. Also Chad, who we lost earlier this year with his battle with brain cancer. We also lost Randy. He lost his battle with cancer. He was an advocate for medical cannabis in Pennsylvania. He met the governor in Pennsylvania. He actually worked with the governor. And then Cheryl Miller, Diane, Marie, Gracie, Sabina Rose, Joan Ford, Cindy May.
And so many we don't even know. They are the very tip of a very, very large and deep iceberg of people that we will never know, but statistically, they're there. And as we remember these people in particular, others are running out of time as we speak. That's why we speak every week.
So tune in tomorrow night. Watch the Drug War live.
Because we have dedication to medication.
Oh, thank you, Jim. R.I.P. Jeremy. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.